Before the world began, a cosmic battle was raging. There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. These words from Revelation speak not of just any angel, but of the commander of God's celestial host. Archangel Michael appears at critical junctures throughout Scripture. From his mysterious presence in ancient texts to his prophesied return at the final judgment, his saga spans thousands of years and multiple sacred books. Yet few truly know his full story. Today, we draw together every biblical reference to unveil the sweeping saga of God's most powerful angel. But before we begin, if you're new to this channel and appreciate this kind of content, consider liking and subscribing. Also, let us know where you're watching from and what time it is. We're building a global community. So, without further ado, let us begin. In the vast reaches beyond the world we know, before time itself was measured, a realm of wonder existed. It was filled with radiant beings of pure light. Angels created by the divine hand moved across the boundless heavens in perfect harmony. Among these celestial beings, an order was established. From the countless hosts of angels to the majestic archangels who stood closest to the divine throne, each had their place. The angels carried out their tasks in concert, maintaining a cosmic balance. Some watched over the stars. Others bore divine messages. Many simply rejoiced in the glow of divine love. At the head of this heavenly multitude stood one of unmatched strength and unwavering devotion. Michael. His name means, "Who is like God?" Not a question, but a statement of awe at the grandeur of the divine. Michael's wings stretched across galaxies. His eyes held the warmth of 1,000 suns. He led the angelic armies with both strength and gentle wisdom. Sacred texts name him as Prince of the Heavenly Host, the first among equals, entrusted with the most solemn duties. Unlike the others, Michael bore a flaming sword. His armor shone with divine radiance. His voice, when raised, could silence storms or shake creation's very pillars. In those ancient days, peace reigned. The morning stars sang in unison. All the sons of God rejoiced. Every being understood their role in the divine plan. They served with joy and moved in perfect unity with the Creator's will. Michael walked among them as both guardian and companion. But even in paradise, change began to stir. Among the highest angels was one named Lucifer, the light-bearer. His beauty outshone nearly all, gifted in music, wisdom, and charm. Lucifer held a special place in heaven's court. His wings sparkled with radiant jewels. His voice could weave songs that brought angels to tears. Yet over time, something shifted in Lucifer's heart. Where once there had been only love and service, a new thought emerged. A faint ember that would soon blaze. It started with simple questions. Harmless musings. Why serve? Why bow? Why not rise? These quiet questions grew louder. Lucifer's brilliance remained, but it changed. Still dazzling, yet altered. In heaven's corners, he whispered to others, voicing his doubts, kindling desire. "We are mighty," he would say. "We deserve more." Michael watched. He saw the change. He saw Lucifer gather followers, hold secret talks. What was once open and bright now flickered with shadows. Michael sought counsel at the divine throne. He brought his concerns, seeking wisdom. Thus, the stage was set for the first great battle. A war not of flesh and blood, but of spirit and will. Michael stood on one side, unshaken defender of divine order. Lucifer stood on the other. His ambition would reshape all. Heaven itself trembled. Reality strained. The first celestial war had begun. Michael versus Lucifer. Heaven's peace cracked like brittle ice. Lucifer, once radiant, had chosen. He would no longer serve. He would rule. His whispers turned wildfire. Promises of power, of freedom, of a new way. "Why kneel?" he asked. "Are we not glorious on our own?" A third of heaven answered. Angels who once sang as one now murmured of rebellion. The harmony shattered. Heaven darkened. Division spread. Michael stood, unmoved, his loyalty unwavering. To him, divine order was not mere command. It was the balance of all things. To break it would bring ruin. The book of Revelation tells it plainly. There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back. They did not prevail. Their place in heaven was lost. This was no battle of blades and blood. It was light against shadow, harmony against pride. The heavens shook. Stars trembled. Michael led the loyal. His sword of fire cut through the veil of darkness. It did not destroy. It cleansed. It restored. But Lucifer fought back. Armed with deceit, division, and shadow, he twisted his gifts. Where once he built beauty, now he sowed confusion. The battle swept across the celestial realms. Galaxies bore witness. Brothers turned foes. Michael's warriors held fast. Even when facing fallen friends, they did not desire battle, but they knew it was needed to protect the balance, to preserve all of creation. At last came the decisive moment. Michael stood face to face with Lucifer, who now burned with a dark fire of his own making. "You cannot win," Michael said simply. "What you fight against is the very nature of reality itself." Lucifer's answer was not words, but a surge of defiant power. Yet Michael was prepared. With strength not born of pride, but of devotion and service, he overcame the rebellious one. The faithful host closed in beside him. Together, they cast Lucifer and his followers down from the heights of heaven. They fell, those once radiant beings, changed by their own choices into something grim and terrible. The fall of Lucifer and his angels transformed them irrevocably. No longer beings of unshadowed light, their rebellion had reshaped their very essence. They became what later scriptures would name as demons. Lucifer himself, once the bearer of light, came to be called Satan, the adversary, the opponent of all that is good and true. With the battle over, Michael and the loyal angels restored peace and order to the heavenly realms. The wounds of that great war began to heal, but the memory remained. A third of the host was lost, not in death, for angels do not die, but in exile and transformation. Heaven grew smaller, yet its unity was restored, its purpose renewed. In the aftermath of war, Michael's role expanded. He was no longer only a leader in peace. He had become a defender in conflict. His flaming sword emerged as a sign of divine justice, a symbol of protection. From that day onward, Michael stood as the immovable wall against the darkness, ever watchful, ever alert to the whispers of Lucifer's influence. The cast-out rebels did not vanish. Though thrown from heaven, they remained. Their defeat did not mean their end. They turned their gaze outward. If they could not rule in heaven, perhaps they would claim dominion elsewhere. Thus began the endless struggle, a conflict that would reach into every part of creation, including, in time, a small blue planet circling an ordinary star. This brings us to the nature of archangels. Michael's role and power among the heavenly hosts. Archangels are not like other angels. They are cosmic pillars, forces that hold together the very structure of creation. While angels are messengers, servants, and helpers, archangels carry higher authority. They serve as captains in heaven's ranks. Their duties shape the course of reality itself. The word archangel stems from ancient Greek. It means chief angel or angel of origin. Only a few hold this rank. Some traditions count 7: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Capiel, Jigadiel, and Berkiel. Each possesses unique gifts and divine assignments. Michael stands foremost among them. His greatness lies not just in strength, but in purpose. Gabriel brings messages. Raphael offers healing. Michael brings protection and justice. He is the great defender, a warrior whose might is equal to his compassion. The powers of an archangel exceed human thought. Michael moves across dimensions in an instant. He exists in many places at once. He sees across time and space. His perception is unbound by natural laws. He discerns the essence of every soul, not just form, but the truth beneath it. His voice holds divine weight. When Michael speaks, reality bends to listen. Mountains may tremble, seas might part, storms can still, not by magic, but because creation responds to one who stands so near its source. The elements recognize his authority, and they obey. His most renowned emblem is the flaming sword. It is more than a weapon. It is justice, a blade that reveals truth, that separates light from shadow, not made to destroy, but to purify. When Michael raises it, the aim is not vengeance, but restoration, to preserve the innocent, to restore harmony. Unlike humans who pass through fleeting moments, Michael lives within the eternal present. Past, present, and future unfold before him like pages in a single book. He sees how small deeds ripple across ages. He understands patterns far beyond mortal reach. This vision gives him patience beyond understanding. All angels reflect divine light, but Michael shines with uncommon brilliance. Those who claim to have seen him speak of a radiance so intense it nearly overwhelms. This light is not just seen, it is felt. It brings courage, clarity, and a deep, quiet strength. Michael's very name reveals his nature. Who is like God? It is both a question and a statement, a recognition of divine mystery, and a reflection of Michael's place within it. He does not seek his own glory. He mirrors the greater light. His power is not self-made. It flows from alignment with the will of the Creator. Despite such might, Michael acts with gentle precision. He speaks to the human soul without fear. He appears in forms that soothe rather than frighten. He leads without coercing. Like a master musician who knows both thunder and whisper, Michael adapts to each need. The bond between archangels and humans is sacred, though vastly different. Both are made with free will and the capacity for love. Michael does not see humans as lesser, but as younger kin, different, yet deeply valued. In ancient texts, Michael is described holding keys to the abyss, ruling over deep and dark places. This shows his role as boundary keeper, the one who maintains the walls between realms, ensuring order even in chaos. His authority extends to other angels. He commands the celestial hosts, coordinates their missions, not as a tyrant, but as a wise leader, one who draws out the best in each being. His leadership is rooted in service, in fulfilling good, not gaining power. While humans count years and generations, archangels perceive the sweep of time differently. To Michael, the rise and fall of empires are as blooming petals, brief, yet not unseen. He watches even the smallest lives, understanding their vast hidden weight. In the book of Daniel, Michael is revealed as the protector of Israel. In ancient Babylon, as the Jewish people endured exile, a faithful man named Daniel received visions most remarkable. These mystical experiences recorded in the book of Daniel offer some of our earliest, most detailed glimpses of Michael. They reveal his unique and sacred relationship with the people of Israel. Daniel served in the courts of foreign kings. He kept his faith even while living amidst foreign gods and customs. His integrity and wisdom earned him great honor and high position, but it also stirred envy and resentment in others. Despite threats and political schemes, Daniel remained steadfast. He continued his prayers daily, never hiding his devotion to the God of his fathers. One day, after 3 full weeks of fasting and prayer, Daniel encountered the extraordinary. By the banks of the Tigris River, a celestial figure appeared to him. This being was so radiant that Daniel's companions fled, even though they saw nothing. The brilliance was overwhelming. The messenger spoke. He had been attempting to reach Daniel for all 3 weeks, but was delayed by a spiritual adversary referred to as the Prince of Persia. "No one stands with me against these forces except Michael, your prince," the messenger said. This single line unveils Michael's heavenly role with startling clarity. Michael is depicted as Israel's guardian. He wages invisible battles for them, conflicts that shape events on earth, yet are felt more than seen. In later visions, Daniel is shown more about this archangel. Chapter 12 brings a prophetic message. At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. The message continues with a grim forecast, a time of distress greater than any since the birth of nations. Yet in that same breath, a promise. Those whose names are found written in the book will be delivered. Michael is not a distant watcher. He is a warrior in constant, unseen war. The Prince of Persia is no human king, rather, a spiritual force tied to that empire. Later, we hear of a similar figure called the Prince of Greece. These beings represent unseen influences behind empires, invisible powers that shape human events and fate. Michael confronts them. He ensures Israel's divine purpose moves forward despite opposition. When Daniel prays, the effects ripple beyond the visible. They stir responses in spiritual realms. They ignite resistance. Michael stands between those prayers and their obstruction. He ensures they reach the throne of God. He helps secure their fulfillment. To the ancient Hebrews, history was never just chance and action. They saw every event as influenced by deeper, invisible causes. Michael functioned as an advocate, a defender in heaven's courtroom, like a royal champion preserving the destiny of his kingdom. Daniel's visions link Michael with the end times. With resurrection, Michael will arise, says the text again. When the old order crumbles, he emerges to stand guard. This pattern repeats throughout sacred texts. Michael's appearance signals transition, from judgment to restoration, from darkness to deliverance. For the exiled Jewish people, these glimpses of Michael brought comfort. They were far from home, under foreign rule, but they were not forgotten. A heavenly protector still watched over them. No matter how distant the temple, no matter how powerful the captors, Michael's shield held firm. He guarded their name, their identity, their faith. The book of Daniel changed how angels were understood. Earlier texts speak of angels, but rarely name them. They rarely define roles. Daniel introduced celestial beings with names, faces, and callings. Michael emerged as not just a force, but a being with heart and duty. This personalization reflected a deeper yearning. Among a people in exile, surrounded by great temples and idolaters, they needed proof that their unseen God still reigned, still moved, still defended. Michael's battles gave them that reassurance. To those resisting foreign gods, Michael represented spiritual defiance. He resisted the powers behind their captors, and in doing so, taught the faithful to resist cultural erasure. He stood as a model of holy courage, a light in a land of pressure and loss. Daniel's story placed Michael at the center of crisis. When the ordinary fails, when hope runs thin, Michael rises. He stands firm. He intervenes. This image of the great archangel stepping forth in trial would echo through time. It offered hope to generations enduring persecution. And so we come to another ancient text, one that lies beyond the canon of most Bibles, the Book of Enoch. Its origins are obscure, but its influence in early Jewish and Christian circles was vast. Among its vivid, otherworldly visions, Michael takes center stage again, a lead figure in a tale of cosmic disobedience and judgment. Enoch himself is a mystery. Genesis says he walked with God and was no more, for God took him. The Book of Enoch expands this moment. It reveals his journeys through heavenly realms. Angels guide him. They reveal to him the hidden mechanics of creation, both of heaven and earth. One of the book's most unforgettable accounts is the tale of the Watchers. These were angels tasked with observing humanity, yet some grew curious, fascinated by the daughters of men. Led by a chief named Simjaza, 200 angels made a choice. They descended to Mount Hermon. There, they took human wives. They swore an oath, and they taught forbidden arts. From this union came the Nephilim, beings of great size and appetite, giants who could not be satisfied. Their hunger devastated the earth. When food failed, they turned to devour humanity. Their fathers, the fallen angels, spread lost knowledge. Secrets not meant for mankind. Metalworking, cosmetics, spells, divination. As corruption spread, the archangels looked down, and they saw the ruin. Michael among them, his heart heavy. Creation's boundaries had been shattered. Worlds were bleeding into each other. What was once pure now teetered on the edge of collapse. Something had to be done. Balance had been shattered. The faithful angels turned to God. They pleaded for the sake of humankind. The Book of Enoch records their cry. You see what Azazel has done, how he has taught all unrighteousness on the earth, and revealed the eternal secrets of heaven. The women have borne giants. The whole earth is filled with blood and corruption. In answer to this growing crisis, God assigned specific roles to the archangels. Each was tasked with confronting a part of the spreading ruin. To Michael fell the most critical duty. He was to deal directly with Siamuza and the rebel Watchers. The command was clear. Bind them for 70 generations, in the valleys of the earth, until the day of their judgment and consummation. Michael obeyed with divine authority. He descended into the earth, seeking each fallen angel. He pronounced judgment over them, and bound them with chains that could not be broken. They were cast into deep places, hidden from all human contact. There they would remain, awaiting the appointed judgment. For their children, the Nephilim, a different sentence was set. Their bodies would perish in the flood to come, but their spirits, bearing traces of angelic nature, would linger on, disembodied and restless. They remained upon the earth. Some traditions call them the origins of demons, troubled spirits caught between the worlds. In Enoch, Michael is not just a warrior. He is a healer of worlds. His task is not simply punishment, but purification. He acts to remove corruption, to make room for restoration. His mission is remedial, not merely retributive. He brings divine order to what has fallen into ruin. After binding the Watchers, Michael was called once more, this time to prepare for the flood itself, a cleansing tide for a corrupted earth. To Michael, God said, "Make known to Samjaza and those with him, who defiled themselves with women, that they will perish with them in their defilement, when their sons have slain one another, and they witness the ruin of their beloved offspring. Bind them fast for 70 generations, in the valleys of the earth." Though Enoch is not part of most modern Bibles, its influence shaped early understandings of Michael profoundly. It cast him as the great preserver of cosmic boundaries, the one who holds chaos at bay. He was not merely a servant, but the steward of separation, the one who ensured that realms remained distinct, and that divine order remained unbroken. The symbols still speak. The Watchers represent power misused, knowledge abused. The Nephilim stand for what happens when boundaries are crossed. Michael restores the line. He draws the edge. He declares what must not be crossed again. These stories gave ancient listeners answers. They explained the origin of evil, without forsaking the justice of heaven. Michael's presence assured them. Corruption might be strong, but it would not last. Even when chaos reigns, heaven remains vigilant. Order will return. So we reach Revelation, the final war in heaven. The last book of the Christian Bible unfolds like a vision of dreams and fire. Beasts emerge. Numbers speak. Visions surge through the mind of John, exiled on Patmos. In these storming skies, Michael returns. He stands again at the center and leads the battle, the final battle, a war not of flesh, but of eternity. The book was written during fierce persecution. Its visions offered hope that righteousness would win, and Michael, once more, would be the one to tip the balance. John tells us, there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels faced the dragon, the great serpent, the devil, Satan himself, the one who deceives the world. Some say this war is the same one from the beginning, seen now from a new lens. Others say it is the last, the second war, one final bid by evil to take back what was lost. But they failed. They were not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. Michael's forces prevailed completely. The dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, Satan, the deceiver of all the earth. He was cast out, not alone, but with all his angels. Heaven rejoiced. Now have come the salvation, and the power, and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before God day and night, has been hurled down. The imagery carries weight. The dragon is more than evil. He is the embodiment of structured rebellion. 7 heads, 10 horns. He is a system, an empire of lies and domination. His tail sweeps a third of the stars, the same third lost in the first fall. Michael, in contrast, remains unwavering. He does not deceive. He does not manipulate. He upholds truth. He serves order. He reflects heaven. To early Christians, beaten and hunted, this vision burned with comfort. Michael defeats what seems undefeatable, and yet, his victory in heaven pushes the battle to earth. Woe to the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you, burning with fury, because he knows his time is short. Spiritual war shifts its ground. When darkness is cast out from one realm, it often redoubles in another. Michael wins, but humanity must now endure the backlash. The dragon fights harder, knowing his time runs low. The symbol of the dragon has deeper roots. In Near Eastern lore, dragons often stood for chaos, for primordial, wild disorder. To name Satan as both serpent and dragon is to link him to that chaos. Michael's triumph is then creation defeating uncreation, light driving back the abyss. To those who knew the old stories, the message was unmistakable. Michael stands, and the world holds. In Daniel's visions, strange beasts rose from the sea of chaos. Each one represented an empire set to oppress God's people. So when Revelation calls Satan a dragon with many heads and horns, it implies that human systems of oppression ultimately draw their power from spiritual darkness. The timing of this war in heaven carries deep meaning. It doesn't appear at the beginning or end of Revelation, but midway, a turning point in the great cosmic struggle. Michael's victory does more than win the war. It turns the tide. After the dragon is cast down, the pace quickens on earth. The woman clothed with the sun, often interpreted as God's people, is pursued. The dragon tries, but fails, to destroy her. Michael is not mentioned again in the book, but everything that unfolds after his triumph rests on the ground he secured. Without his defense of heaven, redemption could not advance. He is not the main actor, but the crucial support, the one who makes the path possible. To early believers facing trials, this image offered perspective. Their pain was not the end of the story. It was a moment in a much greater arc. If Michael could cast down the dragon, then surely the faithful could endure their time of testing, knowing that the final victory had already begun. Revelation casts Michael as an eschatological figure, a bringer of new hope. His actions lead to the new heaven and new earth, described in Revelation's final chapters. Yes, the way forward passes through tribulation. But because Michael triumphed, the darkness cannot prevail forever. Hidden within the short New Testament letter of Jude lies a mystery, a brief reference to a forgotten conflict. Michael and Satan, fighting over the body of Moses. Just one sentence, yet filled with wonder. Even the Archangel Michael, when he disputed with the devil about the body of Moses, did not bring a slanderous accusation, but said, "The Lord rebuke you." This line has puzzled readers for centuries. It tells of a confrontation found nowhere else. In the main scriptures, according to Deuteronomy, Moses died on Mount Nebo, within sight of the Promised Land. God himself buried him in Moab. No one knows where. Why would Satan care? Why would there be a struggle over a corpse? Some traditions offer theories. One claims Satan invoked Moses' past sin, his killing of an Egyptian long ago, to claim the body as his due. Another suggests Satan wanted to turn the burial site into a shrine of idolatry, knowing the people might worship Moses rather than honor God. But the heart of this moment lies in Michael's response. He doesn't argue. He doesn't strike. He doesn't even condemn. He simply says, "The Lord rebuke you." It is an act of restraint from the mightiest of angels. Faced with his old adversary, Michael speaks not with pride, but with reverent submission. He knows his role. He acts under divine authority, never above it. Even in battle, Michael waits for heaven's command. Jude contrasts this moment with the arrogance of false teachers who slander celestial beings without fear. If Michael, the captain of heaven's host, showed such caution, how much more should mortals respect the unseen world? The struggle over Moses' body holds more than mystery. It is deeply symbolic. Moses stood for the law, the covenant between God and Israel. His death marked transition, from wandering to home, from the old to the new. Some believe Jude drew this story from a lost book, perhaps the Assumption of Moses, a text known in ancient times, though lost to us today. Whether apocryphal or historical, the account held weight in early Jewish and Christian minds. Michael and Satan, still in conflict, not just in heaven's past, but through every age of change, even over a single human body, they contend. It speaks to the value of flesh and legacy, that our lives, our deaths, our remains matter. What happens in the physical world touches the eternal. Michael's humility here inspired Christian teachings on spiritual warfare. Many prayers follow his example. "The Lord rebuke you," not "I rebuke you." The power lies not in the speaker, but in the one who sends him. Even angels, like us, must honor divine channels. The place of this dispute carries its own resonance. Somewhere near Moses' hidden grave, at the edge of the Promised Land, on the border between old life and new, they wrestled. Thresholds are sacred. They attract the sacred and the profane. Where Moses stood between covenants, Michael stood guard. Jude does not tell us how the battle ended, but the legacy remains clear. No shrine ever rose to Moses. No idolatry defiled his name. His grave is unknown. His role remembered. His memory preserved. For the early church, this brief story was a light in darkness, a warning against pride, an encouragement that evil will not win. If Michael protected Moses by divine will, then surely God would defend his truth in every age. Michael across religions, Jewish, Christian, and Islamic portrayals across three great Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The figure of Michael appears and reappears. His image shifts slightly like light through different windows. Each tradition emphasizes certain aspects of his nature while preserving his core identity as a mighty celestial being who serves divine purposes. This shared recognition across such distinct faiths underscores Michael's profound presence in the sacred imagination. In Jewish tradition, Michael stands as Israel's guardian and advocate. Ancient rabbis taught that while other nations were given various angels as protectors, Israel was guarded by the greatest, Michael himself. When Egypt's angel fell, when Babylon's star faded, Michael remained, steadfast in his care for the children of Abraham. The Talmud and Midrash expand upon scriptural mentions of Michael, calling him the high priest who offers sacrifices in the heavenly temple. One beautiful tradition speaks of Michael fashioning righteous souls into crowns for the divine presence. Another names him as the angel who stayed Abraham's hand at Mount Moriah, guided Israel through the wilderness as fire, and protected Daniel among lions. Jewish mysticism, especially within the Kabbalah, associates Michael with water and mercy. He stands at the right hand of the divine throne, embodying kindness and compassion. Gabriel, his counterpart, represents judgment and fire. Together they uphold equilibrium in the cosmos. Christianity inherited these Jewish understandings while also expanding them. Early Christian writers saw Michael not only as Israel's protector, but the defender of all believers. The Book of Revelation gave Michael a central role, leading heaven's armies against the dragon. This portrayal became foundational, marking him as the chief adversary of Satan and all forces of evil. By the medieval era, devotion to Michael flourished across Christendom. He was envisioned as the angel of death who tenderly guided righteous souls to paradise. Visions of Michael were reported frequently, often at mountaintops or remote holy sites. Mont Saint-Michel in France and Monte Gargano in Italy became major destinations for pilgrims honoring the Archangel. Christian art portrays Michael in warrior's garb, weighing souls with scales or defeating the dragon underfoot. He appears in countless frescoes, stained glass, and statues throughout European churches. Michael's feast, September 29th, became a landmark in the Christian calendar, marking autumn's turn and the coming darkness. In Islam, Michael, called Michael, holds a revered position among the greatest angels. The Quran names him alongside Gabriel as one of Allah's trusted messengers. Gabriel brings revelation. Michael sustains creation, distributing nourishment to bodies and souls. He controls rain and plant life. Muslim traditions describe him as radiant, with green emerald wings and saffron-colored hair. Each strand of hair bears countless faces, each praising Allah in a different language. In this tradition, too, Michael mourns humanity's sins and pleads for mercy on their behalf. Across these faiths, Michael's essence remains steady, loyal, powerful, humble. He never seeks glory. He stays aligned with the divine will. He protects the faithful and confronts darkness without hesitation. This remarkable consistency across doctrines, cultures, and continents reveals Michael's deep spiritual resonance. He represents the hope that the cosmos bends toward justice, that unseen forces support righteousness. In danger or despair, this brings comfort. In medieval Spain, where Jewish, Christian, and Muslim communities coexisted, Michael served as rare common ground. Stories crossed boundaries, images blended. Some churches, built on sites of older synagogues, preserved Michael's dedication as a symbol of continuity. Michael's shared presence reminds us that despite differing theologies, the three Abrahamic faiths converge on sacred truths. All envision a world shaped by divine service, a universe where hidden hands work for good, a final dawn when justice will silence evil. Michael, in this vision, becomes a language shared by strangers, a figure held in reverence by those divided in creed but united in longing. In our fragmented age, such symbols matter deeply. They remind us of our common soul. The patron Saint Michael's rise in Christian veneration. As Christianity spread across Europe and the Mediterranean, reverence for Michael rose steadily, shaping sacred geography and daily life. From small beginnings grew great cathedrals and widespread popular devotion. Michael became more than a scriptural name. He became a beloved protector. The earliest known shrine to Michael was built in the 4th century, at Koni near Constantinople. This modest site would soon inspire greater monuments as his veneration deepened. By the 5th century, churches dedicated to Michael appeared across the Byzantine Empire. They were often raised on hills or high places, mirroring Michael's heavenly domain. A pivotal moment came during Emperor Constantine's reign. Tradition holds that he credited a major victory to Michael's aid and honored him with a splendid shrine, the Michaelion. This imperial gesture lifted Michael's status throughout Christendom. Unlike many saints whose reverence grew locally, Michael's devotion spread swiftly and widely. From the deserts of Egypt to the forests of Germany, from Syria to Britain, churches bearing his name arose. Often these sanctuaries stood where earlier pagan temples once stood, sites of healing and protection rededicated to the Archangel. This replacement was rarely coincidental. Many of Michael's earliest shrines rose from sites once sacred to gods of war, healing, or the afterlife. In Rome, the great Castel Sant'Angelo, first built as Emperor Hadrian's mausoleum, was later rededicated to Michael following a vision during a time of plague. This pattern of sacred substitution helped smooth the transition from paganism to Christianity throughout Europe. Michael's appeal crossed boundaries, spiritual, social, and political, with remarkable ease. Kings and emperors sought his protection for their realms, dedicating churches, inscribing his image on coins and banners. Warriors invoked his strength before battle, seeing in him the perfect fusion of divine justice and righteous power. Common people turned to him for aid against storms, illness, and invisible dangers. This wide devotion reflected Michael's multifaceted presence. Though famed as a warrior, he was equally revered as a healer, soul guide, and moral judge. His versatility allowed communities to emphasize traits of Michael most resonant with their fears and hopes. In the 8th century, devotion deepened with Pope Gregory I's promotion of angelic veneration, especially of Michael. After a devastating plague, Gregory reportedly saw Michael sheathing his sword above Hadrian's tomb, signaling the end of divine punishment. That vision anchored Michael's spiritual legacy in Rome and elevated his role in Western Christian imagination. As feudal Europe matured, Michael's image shifted with the culture. He became the celestial knight, chivalrous, humble, and unwavering. Art began portraying him not as a courtly official, but as an armored warrior. By the 10th century, he ranked among the most beloved saints in all of Europe. His feast day, September 29th, marked not only spiritual reverence, but seasonal significance, the turning from harvest to winter. Communities observed the day with festivals blending liturgy and local custom. Pilgrimage routes spread around major shrines dedicated to Michael. The most renowned, Mont Saint-Michel in France, drew travelers to its island sanctuary, where tides made it seem to float between worlds. Its setting perfectly reflected Michael's own nature, a bridge between heaven and earth. In southern Italy, Monte Sant'Angelo offered a quieter, more mysterious reflection of the Archangel. There, within a cave, pilgrims encountered Michael not as a warrior, but as a presence in the sacred dark. This sanctuary, said to be consecrated by Michael himself, offered a different facet of his being. Military orders and craft guilds across Europe chose Michael as their patron. The Knights of the Wing in Spain, founded in the 13th century, took their name from his wings and devoted themselves to chivalric virtues under his protection. In England, boatmen, bakers, grocers, and many others claimed his guardianship. As patron of high places, Michael's sanctuaries often crowned hilltops and mountain peaks. Germany alone had hundreds of Michaelsburgs, Michael's Mountains, each marked with chapels or churches. These elevated sites served as both visible landmarks and spiritual beacons. His widespread veneration wove a cultural web across medieval Christendom. A pilgrim from Ireland could step into a Michael shrine in Italy and recognize the stories and symbols, regardless of local dialect or rite. This common reverence offered shared spiritual footing in a divided world. The miracles of Saint Michael, historical accounts and legends. From distant lands and different centuries, stories of Michael's miraculous appearances and interventions spread like sacred wind. Some told of battlefield visions, others of quiet personal healings. But nearly all shared this: divine presence arriving precisely at the moment of greatest need. One of the earliest and most famous miracles occurred at Monte Gargano in Italy, around 490 AD. A wealthy landowner named Gargano lost a prized bull. He found it kneeling before a cave's mouth. Irritated, he shot an arrow at the animal, but it turned midair, striking him instead. Alarmed, Gargano consulted the local bishop. The bishop ordered 3 days of fasting and prayer. In that time, Michael appeared to the bishop in a dream. He declared, "I am the Archangel Michael, and I stand always in the presence of God. This cave is sacred to me. I have chosen to protect this place and its people." When the site was investigated, it was discovered to be naturally cathedral-like, with a spring of water flowing from the stone. Soon, the faithful began reporting healings after drinking or washing in the water. The cave became a sanctuary, drawing pilgrims from across the Christian world. A similar story unfolded in France. In the early 8th century, Bishop Aubert of Avranches received a vision of Michael. The archangel instructed him to build a sanctuary atop a tidal island known then as Montum. When Aubert hesitated, Michael appeared again, touching his head with a finger. Legend says Aubert awoke with a perfect hole in his skull, clear and precise. Inspired, he began building what would become Mont Saint-Michel. Today, the bishop's skull remains preserved as a relic, with a circular hole that defies natural explanation. During the 100 Years' War, Michael appeared again, this time to Joan of Arc. The teenage peasant girl claimed Michael, along with Saints Catherine and Margaret, instructed her to defend France. Her victories against the English, guided by these visions, reshaped French history. Michael's appearances were not confined to battlefields. In 590 AD, during a deadly plague in Rome, Pope Gregory the Great saw Michael above Hadrian's mausoleum. The angel stood high atop, sheathing his sword, a sign the plague would end. The vision proved true. The mausoleum was renamed Castel Sant'Angelo, the castle of the Holy Angel, and so the name remains. Not all Michael's miracles involved grand historical moments. Countless personal stories tell of protection during storms at sea, guidance when lost in forests or mountains, and healing from various afflictions. These quieter miracles often involved a sense of peaceful presence rather than dramatic visions, a sudden knowledge of which path to take, an unexpected calm during danger, or strength beyond one's normal capacity. One recurring miracle type involves Michael marking chosen sites for his veneration. In places as diverse as Spain, Greece, and Ethiopia, similar stories tell of mysterious footprints appearing in stone supposedly left by the archangel to designate sacred space. These marks became centers of local pilgrimage with healing properties attributed to water that collected in these depressions. Michael's association with healing waters appears consistently across Europe and the Near East. Springs near his shrines were believed to cure everything from blindness to infertility. Unlike some saints associated with specific ailments, Michael was seen as a universal healer, able to address any physical or spiritual malady through his close connection to divine power. Many Michael miracles involve light, apparitions surrounded by blinding radiance, mysterious illuminations of churches during dark nights, unexplained lights seen hovering above dedicated sanctuaries. These phenomena reflect his nature as a being of pure light, whose very essence dispels darkness in all its forms. Children figure prominently in Michael miracle stories. One recurring narrative tells of children stranded by rising tides at Mont Saint-Michel, saved when Michael creates a temporary path through the waters. Another common theme involves children who fall from great heights at Michael's sanctuaries, found unharmed due to what witnesses describe as invisible hands catching them mid-fall. Warriors throughout history have reported seeing Michael before or during battle, often describing him as riding a white horse and carrying a flaming standard. Crusaders claimed his appearance during key sieges, while Byzantine soldiers credited him with turning back numerous invasions. These accounts typically describe not just visual apparitions, but tangible effects. Sudden wind aiding friendly arrows, unexpected fog concealing troop movements, inexplicable panic spreading through enemy forces. One particularly persistent miracle involves church bells ringing without human intervention on Michael's feast day or during times of community crisis. From small village chapels to great cathedrals, these autonomous pealings were interpreted as Michael's way of calling the faithful to prayer or warning of imminent danger. The phenomenon became so associated with the archangel that the phrase Michael's music entered folk vocabulary in several European regions. These miracle accounts, whether historically verified or legendary, reveal much about how communities perceived Michael across different eras. He appears as an active, engaged guardian rather than a distant celestial observer, a being genuinely concerned with human welfare and ready to intervene when properly invoked or when divine purposes require protection. The Sword of Michael, divine weapon and symbol. In the quiet moments of ancient stories, we find mention of a special weapon. Michael's flaming sword glimmers through time, catching light in both heaven and earth. This sword isn't just a tool for battle. It carries deeper meaning. The book of Genesis first hints at a fiery blade. After Adam and Eve left Eden, angels with flaming swords guarded the way back. Though not named directly, many believe Michael wielded one such sword, standing watch at paradise's gates. Later writings paint a clearer picture. In the book of Revelation, Michael leads heaven's army with a sword that flashes with divine light. This isn't an ordinary weapon, but one forged in holy fire, made to cut through darkness and evil. The sword appears again in the stories of the fallen angels. When Michael faced those who turned from heaven, his blade became the tool of divine will. With each swing, it separated good from evil, truth from lies. Some texts describe how the sword could change size, sometimes small as a dagger, other times vast as lightning across the sky. Jewish mystics tell of Michael's sword being inscribed with secret names of God. These sacred words give the weapon its power to strike down evil that nothing else can touch. In these traditions, the sword serves as both weapon and symbol, cutting through spiritual darkness when mere physical strength would fail. Artists through time have shown Michael's sword in different ways. Sometimes it's pure flame without metal. Other times it appears as a golden blade with fire running along its edge. In many paintings, the sword points downward at a dragon or serpent, showing victory over evil. Beyond its use in battle, the sword represents justice. Just as a judge's decision cuts between right and wrong, Michael's sword divides light from darkness. This symbolism appears in courthouse statues where Michael stands with sword and scales, weighing souls while ready to enforce heaven's verdict. The flame of the sword holds special meaning, too. Fire purifies, burning away what's impure. Michael's flaming sword thus represents not just punishment, but cleansing, removing evil to restore goodness. In this way, even its destruction serves a healing purpose. Some medieval knights prayed to Michael before battle, asking for just a touch of his sword's power in their own blades. Craftsmen would sometimes engrave Michael on swords and shields, hoping for a measure of the archangel's strength and protection. As we drift toward sleep, we might imagine this heavenly weapon not as something fearsome, but as a gentle light keeping watch through the night. The sword of Michael stands ready, a flame of protection guiding souls through darkness. Michael's symbolism, scales and armor. Beyond his mighty sword, Michael carries other symbols that tell his story. Each has grown richer with meaning as generations have passed them down through art and prayer. The scales in Michael's hands speak of balance and fairness. In many images, he weighs souls on their journey beyond life. This symbol wasn't always Michael's. It began with Egyptian gods who measured hearts against a feather of truth. Yet over time, the task of weighing what's fair passed to heaven's prince. These scales show Michael's role in the afterlife. Stories tell how he stands at a crossroads of souls, gently placing each life's worth on the balance. Not to judge harshly, but to see clearly what each soul has become. Unlike human courts that might miss hidden goodness, Michael's scales detect the smallest virtues buried in a heart. His gleaming armor tells another story. Unlike the soft robes of messenger angels, Michael wears the gear of a defender. His breastplate shields against darkness, while his helm keeps his focus clear in the midst of battle. Some old tales say his armor can't be scratched by any earthly weapon, only forged in heaven, only damaged by heaven's will. Artists through centuries have shown this armor in countless ways. Byzantine mosaics dress him in Roman general's garb with golden plates. Medieval paintings show chainmail worthy of a king's champion. Renaissance artists wrapped him in steel that seems to glow from within. Yet all share one quality. The armor never weighs him down, but seems light as his wings. The shield Michael carries bears special markings. Some show it emblazoned with a cross, others with the Latin phrase "Cause ut Deus," who is like God. This question-turned statement echoes Michael's very name, which asks the same in Hebrew. His shield doesn't just block attacks, but reflects truth back at those who would challenge heaven. Colors play their part in Michael's symbols, too. Red appears in his garments, recalling both fire and blood, not of violence, but of life and warmth. Blue wraps his shoulders in some icons, showing his heavenly nature. Gold edges his armor and weapons, marking divine presence touching each piece. In churches dedicated to Michael, these symbols appear in stone and glass. Sunlight through stained windows casts colored light across floors, letting visitors stand briefly in the glow of angelic colors. Statues show the scales tipped slightly, the armor fitted perfectly, creating a sense of readiness mixed with perfect calm. Some smaller symbols appear in older texts. A palm branch sometimes rests near Michael, showing peace follows his victories. Keys occasionally hang from his belt, keys to heaven's gates, or to the chains that bind evil. A trumpet may wait nearby, ready to sound the call that ends earthly time. Michael's symbols speak a language deeper than words. They tell of a being who fights not from hatred, but from love of order and goodness. His weapons defend rather than destroy. His armor protects rather than intimidates. His scales weigh with mercy, not judgment. As night deepens around us, these ancient symbols offer comfort. The scales promise fairness beyond human courts. The armor stands watch while we sleep. In the gentle darkness, Michael's symbols remind us that protection watches over the world. Michael and Lucifer, parallels and contrasts. Two bright angels, two different paths. Michael and Lucifer began in the same heavenly light, yet their stories couldn't have turned more opposite. Their tale offers one of the greatest contrasts in all spiritual stories. In the beginning, both stood among heaven's highest princes. Some writings suggest they were equals in beauty, wisdom, and strength. Both knew the face of God. Both sang in the celestial choir. Both understood heaven's deepest secrets. Like brothers raised in the same house, they shared a bond few others could know. Yet something shifted in this perfect balance. Where Michael found joy in service, Lucifer began to question. Where Michael bowed, Lucifer stood tall. Where Michael accepted divine mystery, Lucifer demanded answers. Two paths opened before them, one of humble duty, one of proud rebellion. The moment of choosing came, though accounts differ on what sparked it. Some say God asked the angels to bow before newly created humans, beings of dust who would somehow carry divine breath. Michael knelt without question. Lucifer refused, unwilling to serve those he saw as lesser beings. Others tell that heaven planned to crown God's son, and Lucifer, beautiful morning star, couldn't bear to see another outshine him. Whatever the reason, the division tore heaven apart. Angels chose sides. Battle lines formed across the perfect realm. Michael's loyalty never wavered. He didn't fight from blind obedience, but from deep understanding. His name itself poses the question no rebel could answer. Who is like God? In this question lives the core of their difference. Michael embraced that nothing compares to divine wisdom, while Lucifer believed his own judgment could rival heaven's plan. The war that followed shaped creation itself. Michael, the quiet servant, took up arms only when peace failed. Lucifer, who craved glory, found only infamy. Michael fought to restore order. Lucifer to create new order, with himself at its center. Michael protected. Lucifer destroyed. After the battle, their paths diverged completely. Michael remained heaven's prince, leading angels with quiet strength. Lucifer, now called Satan or adversary, fell to darker realms. Michael continued serving. Satan began plotting. Michael healed heaven's wounds. Satan nursed endless grudges. Their contrasting natures appear in how they approach humanity. Michael whispers guidance, defends the innocent, and respects human choices. Satan tempts, accuses, and tries to own souls. Michael wants humans to rise. Satan wants them to fall. Michael remembers what humans can become. Satan focuses only on their weakness. In art, the contrast appears vividly. Michael stands in light, his face calm and resolved. Lucifer hides in shadow, his features twisted by hatred. Michael's wings stretch wide and white. Satan's hang damaged or transformed into leathery membranes. Michael's eyes show compassion even in battle. Satan's burn with endless envy. Their ongoing struggle plays out not just in cosmic battles, but in every heart. Each choice between pride and service, each moment between self-will and greater good, echoes their ancient division. Though worlds apart now, they remain forever linked as opposites, teaching through contrast what neither could teach alone. As we rest tonight, this ancient story offers its wisdom. Two paths always lie before us: humble strength or proud weakness. Even in our dreams, we might ponder which angel we follow when morning comes. The role of Michael in spiritual warfare, prayers, and exorcisms. When darkness seems too strong, many voices through time have called one name: Michael. His role in spiritual battles brings comfort to those who feel surrounded by forces they can't see or touch. From ancient prayers to modern practices, his help has been sought against life's unseen enemies. The most famous prayer to Michael came from Pope Leo XIII in 1886. As the story goes, the Pope had a troubling vision during Mass. Dark forces gathering strength against the Church. Shaken, he wrote words that millions have spoken since. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. This prayer spread quickly through churches and homes. Parents taught children to whisper it before sleep. Priests spoke it after services. Even now, many recite these words when feeling spiritually threatened, finding peace in calling heaven's defender. Michael's connection to exorcism runs deep in many traditions. When facing forces that seem beyond human strength, his name often leads the prayers of those helping the afflicted. Unlike other angels, Michael is called not just to comfort, but to actively fight whatever causes harm. Jewish traditions also recognize Michael's protective power. The mezuzah scroll placed on doorposts often contains his name along with those of other guardian angels. In this way, he watches over thresholds where outside influences might enter a home. Some ancient amulets bore his image as a shield against harmful spirits. Early Christians placed special trust in Michael during times of persecution. When facing physical threats for their faith, they would pray for Michael's courage and protection. Small icons of the archangel were carried for comfort, a reminder that heavenly strength stood with them despite earthly weakness. Medieval knights and warriors adopted Michael as their patron. Before battle, they would pray for the strength of Michael's arm, believing the archangel understood their dangerous calling. Churches built near battlefields were often dedicated to him, creating sacred space where violence had occurred. In Orthodox traditions, Michael appears in the prayers for the dying. His role as escort of souls makes him a natural guide for life's final journey. Families gather to ask that he lead their loved ones safely beyond death's threshold, trusting his gentle strength during vulnerable moments. Farm communities once had special connection to Michael as harvest protector. His feast day on September 29th falls during gathering time in many regions. Farmers would ask his blessing on fields and food stores, seeing him as guardian against both natural disaster and unseen harm to precious crops. Modern spiritual practices still include Michael's aid. Some visualize his blue light or protective presence during meditation. Others keep his image nearby during challenging times. Mental health professionals occasionally find clients spontaneously mentioning Michael during recovery from trauma, describing protective dreams where a powerful figure stands guard. What makes Michael unique in spiritual battles is his balanced approach. Unlike forces that fight hatred with hatred, Michael opposes darkness without becoming dark himself. His strength remains rooted in love and service. He fights not from rage, but from deep commitment to goodness. As our breathing slows towards sleep, we might take comfort in this ancient protector, not through fear of what lurks in darkness, but through trust that light always stands ready to defend when called. Michael's watchful presence has guarded countless nights through human history. Perhaps tonight, he guards this room as well. Michael's role in the apocalypse, the ultimate defender. When the world reaches its final chapter, stories tell us Michael will stand at the center of the greatest battle ever fought. The book of Revelation paints this scene with vivid strokes. Heaven's champion facing darkness in its full strength. The final conflict begins not on earth, but in heaven itself. John's vision tells of war breaking out among the stars, with Michael leading God's angels against a great dragon. This creature, symbolizing Satan, commands a third of heaven's stars, fallen angels who chose rebellion. The sky itself becomes their battlefield. Unlike human wars that drag on for years, this heavenly conflict reaches swift conclusion. Though the dragon fights with ancient hatred, Michael's forces prove stronger. The text describes it simply: Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. With this victory, Earth enters its final trial. The dragon, cast down from the sky, turns its fury toward humanity. Knowing his time grows short, the adversary launches a desperate campaign. Here, Michael's role shifts from battlefield commander to guardian of the faithful. Ancient Jewish texts expand on this protective role. The Book of Daniel foretells, at that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. There will be a time of distress, such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. This promise of deliverance brings comfort amid descriptions of trouble. Even in humanity's darkest hour, heaven's strongest defender stands watch. Michael becomes guardian not just of one nation, but of all who hold to goodness as the world's foundations shake. Some traditions describe Michael as the angel who will sound the trumpet, signaling time's end. Its clear note will reach every corner of creation, waking the dead and calling all to face what they've become. In paintings, he often appears with this trumpet ready at his lips, poised between one age and the next. Michael's final role involves the binding of evil. Once the conflicts end, he leads the forces that ensure darkness cannot rise again. Some stories tell how he personally chains the dragon in a bottomless pit using keys entrusted to him by divine authority. His strength secures lasting peace after the final struggle. The Archangel also appears in visions of judgment. While God alone truly judges, Michael serves as heaven's witness. He knows who stood firm during darkness and who surrendered to it. Yet even here he advocates mercy alongside justice, remembering every good deed done in difficult times. In these end-time stories, Michael embodies hope beyond conflict. Though the apocalypse brings fearsome images, his presence reminds us of protection that never fails. The story ends not with destruction, but restoration. Michael stands guard not just over the battle, but over the peace that follows. Eastern Christian icons sometimes show Michael after this final victory. His sword rests back in its scabbard. His scales hang balanced at last. His face, stern in battle scenes, shows gentle satisfaction. The great defender finds rest when those under his protection no longer face threat. As we close our eyes tonight, these ancient promises of protection might ease worried minds. Whatever challenges tomorrow brings, they pale against the final victory of light. Sleep comes easier knowing guardians like Michael keep watch through the longest night. Michael's evolution. Ancient texts to modern culture. From faded scrolls to cinema screens, Michael's image has journeyed across time and imagination. His story began in whispered prayers and carefully copied texts. Today, he appears in best-selling novels and blockbuster films. Few figures have traveled so far while keeping their essence intact. The earliest mentions of Michael appear slim and simple. Hebrew texts name him among the archangels, but offer limited detail. He stands as one of the chief princes and Israel's protector. These ancient writings focus more on his role than his personality, a divine agent rather than a character with depth. As centuries passed, writers began filling gaps with vivid details. The Book of Enoch described Michael as merciful compared to other angels, always seeking the lightest punishment possible for human errors. Jewish mystical texts painted him as the advocate who speaks in humanity's defense when other heavenly voices call for judgment. Early Christian writers expanded his story further. They connected Michael with specific miracles and appearances. Sites like Monte Gargano in Italy and Mont Saint-Michel in France became linked to visions of the Archangel. Stone shrines rose where shepherds or bishops reported seeing a winged figure with a flaming sword. Medieval literature transformed Michael into a more knightly figure. The Golden Legend, a collection of saints' stories widely read in the Middle Ages, portrayed him as the perfect spiritual warrior, courageous yet humble, powerful yet gentle. Poets and troubadours spread these tales through courts and villages alike. Renaissance artists gave Michael physical form that shaped how generations would imagine him. Painters like Raphael showed him as eternally youthful and beautiful, weighted with armor yet light on his feet. These images spread through prints copied and carried across Europe, standardizing how people pictured heaven's prince. John Milton's epic poem Paradise Lost, published in 1667, brought new psychological depth to Michael. Here, the archangel became a complex figure, loyal to heaven, yet understanding of human weakness. Milton's Michael shows Adam visions of human history after Eden, gently preparing the first man for the challenging world ahead. The modern era brought fresh perspectives. Victorian writers often emphasized Michael's role as a guide of souls, making him gentler than medieval versions. Early films portrayed him with distant dignity, barely distinguishable from other angels, except for his sword and armor. Contemporary fiction has reimagined Michael in countless ways. Sometimes he appears as a troubled warrior, burdened by endless fighting. Other stories cast him as an enigmatic figure operating behind the scenes of human affairs. In urban fantasy, he might appear as a detective investigating supernatural crimes, his true nature hidden behind human disguise. Television series like Supernatural have presented Michael as morally complex, sometimes making questionable choices despite good intentions. These modern interpretations explore the burden of power and the loneliness of standing between worlds. They ask what it means to serve forever without rest or relief. Video games often feature characters inspired by Michael, usually as powerful allies or ultimate boss encounters. Online communities discuss and debate these depictions, keeping his legend alive in digital spaces. Fan art reimagines his appearance for new generations, sometimes with anime influence or modern military gear replacing medieval armor. Through all these changes, certain qualities remain. Michael consistently represents protection, justice, and the triumph of order over chaos. His evolution reflects changing human needs from tribal protector to cosmic warrior to psychological archetype. Each era finds in Michael what it most requires from divine guardians. As modern eyes close in sleep, they've seen versions of Michael their ancestors could never imagine. Yet tonight's dreams might still be watched over by the same presence that guarded ancient sleepers, evolving in appearance, but unchanging in essence. Michael and other archangels, divine allies and rivals. Michael doesn't stand alone in heaven's hierarchy. He works alongside other mighty angels, each with unique roles. These relationships show a different side of heaven's prince, not just as a warrior, but as part of a divine team. Gabriel stands closest to Michael in most traditions. While Michael leads heaven's armies, Gabriel serves as its voice. Where Michael brings strength, Gabriel brings messages. Together, they form a powerful partnership, action and word, sword and trumpet. Many paintings show them working side by side, maintaining heaven's order through complementary gifts. Raphael, whose name means God heals, brings a gentler energy to the archangel circle. Stories tell how Raphael guided the young Tobias on a dangerous journey, healing his father's blindness with special medicine. While Michael defends against evil, Raphael mends what harm has done. Both serve divine love, though in different ways. Uriel, often called the fire of God, carries wisdom and insight. Some texts describe Uriel warning Noah about the coming flood or guiding the prophet Ezra through visions of the future. Michael and Uriel sometimes appear together in judgment scenes. Michael with his scales, Uriel with a flame that reveals truth in all it touches. Less-known archangels appear in various texts. Reguel serves as heaven's justice officer, ensuring other angels fulfill their duties faithfully. Siriel watches over spirits preparing to enter human life. Rimmel stands charged with divine visions. Each specializes in aspects of creation's maintenance, with Michael coordinating their efforts. The Book of Enoch tells of joint missions where multiple archangels work together. When humanity needed warning before the Great Flood, several archangels divided the task. When fallen angels needed binding, each chief angel took responsibility for different aspects of their punishment. These joint operations show heaven's perfect teamwork. Not all archangel relationships flow smoothly in every story. Some traditions hint at rivalries, not of evil intent, but of different visions for how best to serve. Gabriel sometimes questions Michael's readiness for battle, preferring messages to swords. Uriel occasionally challenges Michael's mercy, believing justice should come before compassion. One fascinating account tells of Michael and Gabriel disagreeing over the fate of Israel. When enemies threatened Jerusalem, Gabriel proposed immediate fire from heaven. Michael suggested patience, giving people time to repent. Their debate, never angry but deeply principled, shows how even divine beings might see different paths to the same good outcome. Eastern Orthodox traditions assign each archangel oversight of different nations or regions. Michael watches over specific lands, coordinating with other archangels responsible for their territories. This cosmic administration requires constant communication and occasional compromise when human affairs cross angelic boundaries. Jewish mystical teachings describe special councils where archangels gather. Michael presides but seeks consensus rather than imposing his will. These meetings address cosmic imbalances, human prayers requiring special attention, or unusual events affecting multiple angelic domains. The archangels speak in voices like rushing water or distant thunder, sharing wisdom beyond human understanding. Despite differences in approach or responsibility, the archangels maintain perfect harmony in their ultimate goals. They embody different aspects of divine will, mercy and justice, strength and healing, wisdom and proclamation. Together, they form a complete expression of heaven's work in the world. As sleep approaches, we might imagine these mighty beings in their celestial conversation, discussing the day just past, planning for the one ahead. Different voices blending in perfect harmony with Michael's quiet strength holding the center of their eternal fellowship. Michael's commanding army, the angelic host. Beyond the circle of archangels stretches a vast army of light. Michael commands legions of angels organized with perfect precision. Though rarely glimpsed by human eyes, this celestial force maintains order throughout creation. Heaven's army doesn't match earthly military structures exactly. Angels gather in choirs or hosts rather than regiments or divisions. Yet within this different organization lives perfect discipline. Each angel knows its place, purpose, and chain of command, with Michael standing as heaven's field commander. Ancient texts describe these angelic forces using overwhelming numbers. Daniel speaks of thousands upon thousands serving the divine throne with 10,000 times 10,000 standing before it. The book of Revelation echoes this vastness, showing Michael leading angels too numerous to count. These aren't poetic exaggerations, but attempts to express forces beyond human calculation. Unlike human armies motivated by fear, ambition, or loyalty to a nation, Michael's forces serve from perfect understanding. Each angel sees clearly what's at stake in the cosmic battle between light and darkness. They follow Michael not from blind obedience, but from shared purpose, maintaining the order that allows life and love to flourish. The organization of these forces reveals fascinating patterns. Some traditions describe specialized units within the heavenly host. Certain angels specialize in protection, forming living shields around the vulnerable. Others focus on countering specific dark forces, developing expertise against particular threats. Still others serve as messengers between units, maintaining perfect coordination across vast distances. Michael trains these forces personally in many accounts. Though angels don't age or tire like humans, they develop their skills through practice. Michael teaches not just fighting techniques, but discernment, knowing when to act swiftly versus when to wait, when to show mercy versus when justice must prevail. His teaching emphasizes wisdom over mere power. The weapons of this army differ from earthly arms. While Michael carries his famous sword, other angels wield light itself or truth made tangible or divine words that cut through deception. Some traditions speak of special armor that shines with inner radiance rather than reflecting outside light. Unlike metal, plate, or chain, this protection weighs nothing while stopping the darkest attacks. When Michael leads this army into battle, accounts describe breathtaking coordination. No angel acts independently or breaks formation. Movements flow with the precision of dancers rather than the chaos of human conflict. Even in the fiercest combat, Heaven's forces never lose control or give into rage. They act with calm certainty and measured response. Beyond fighting, Michael's forces serve as cosmic peacekeepers. Most of their work involves preventing conflicts rather than engaging in them. They maintain boundaries between dimensions, ensure natural laws operate smoothly, and watch for early signs of disruption that might grow into larger problems. Michael assigns these duties based on each angel's unique qualities and strengths. Stories tell how humans occasionally glimpse this mighty host in moments of great need. Armies besieging Jerusalem in ancient times reportedly saw flaming figures standing on the city walls. Shepherds in fields have described sudden light and movement where no human forces traveled. These rare sightings offer brief windows into the constant activity happening just beyond normal sight. Jewish tradition tells of angels gathering behind Michael during the crossing of the Red Sea, helping part the waters and then close them again. Christian accounts speak of Michael's forces appearing during crucial battles when faith itself hung in the balance. These interventions remain subtle, not replacing human choice, but supporting those already choosing courage. As night surrounds us, this unseen army continues its eternal watch. Michael's forces patrol the borders between worlds, maintain the proper flow of time and seasons, and stand ready to defend against any darkness that would harm what God loves. Their watchful presence makes sleep itself possible, rest protected by those who never rest. The mystical attributes of Michael, fire and light. When closest to Michael, ancient visionaries described two overwhelming impressions: consuming fire and radiant light. These elements define heaven's prince in mystical literature across cultures and eras. Fire appears in nearly every account of Michael, not destructive flames that burn what they touch, but purifying fire that transforms. Jewish mystics described Michael as the burning one whose very presence melts away falsehood and pretense. They wrote of fire flowing from his eyes, not in anger, but in perfect clarity that sees through all deception. This fire serves multiple purposes in Michael's work. It burns away spiritual infection just as physical flame might cleanse a wound. It provides light in darkness, revealing paths forward when all seems lost. It warms hearts grown cold from suffering or doubt. Unlike ordinary fire that exists to consume, Michael's flame exists to restore. Light radiates from Michael in equally distinctive ways. Where Gabriel's light flashes like lightning and Raphael's glows with gentle healing warmth, Michael's light carries authority. It cuts through confusion like a lighthouse beam through fog. Those who encounter it describe not just brightness, but purpose, light directed exactly where needed most. Old texts speak of Michael's light appearing in 7 colors blended into pure white. Each color represents different aspects of divine presence: justice in blue, love in red, wisdom in gold, and others beyond human naming. Together, they form light so complete that darkness cannot exist within its reach. Not driven away, but transformed into light itself. Michael's dual nature as both warrior and healer appears clearly in these attributes. Fire and light serve both purposes perfectly. Fire destroys what harms while purifying what remains. Light both reveals danger and guides towards safety. This perfect balance makes Michael uniquely suited for his role as heaven's field commander and humanity's defender. Byzantine prayer books describe Michael's presence as terrible yet comforting, overwhelming to witness, yet deeply reassuring. This paradox lives in his fire and light. Standing before such power would leave any being trembling. Yet knowing this power serves only good brings profound peace. Unlike human power that might corrupt its wielder, Michael's strength remains forever tethered to divine love. Some meditation traditions teach visualization of Michael's light as protection. By picturing blue-white flames surrounding a person or place, practitioners create spiritual space where harmful influences cannot enter. Whether seen as psychological technique or mystical reality, these practices bring comfort to many seeking safety in troubled times. Artists trying to capture Michael's attributes often resort to special techniques. Gold leaf backgrounds create reflective surfaces suggesting radiance beyond ordinary light. Raised halos catch actual light in churches, making images seem to glow from within as candles flicker nearby. Some Orthodox icons use special varnishes that deepen and warm with age, suggesting the transformative effect of Michael's presence over time. Those claiming direct experience of Michael throughout history use strikingly similar language despite different cultures and eras. They describe not just seeing light, but feeling it pass through them like liquid fire, leaving them cleansed rather than consumed. Many report loss of fear as their most immediate response, not from courage, but from suddenly seeing clearly what truly matters. Several traditions understand Michael as especially present in sunrise. The moment night surrenders to day parallels his cosmic role, bringing light where darkness seemed complete. Early morning prayers often invoke him as bearer of dawn or herald of heaven's light, linking natural cycles to spiritual realities. As sleep approaches and darkness surrounds us, Michael's fire and light offer comfortable mystery. Not the harsh glare of midday that shows every flaw, but the gentle guidance of stars and embers that light just enough of the path ahead. In dreams touched by such light, fears lose their power and hope finds fresh strength. The judgment of souls, Michael as the weigher of souls. At life's end, many traditions speak of a sacred moment of truth. Michael stands at this threshold, scales in hand, gently weighing each soul's journey, not with harsh judgment, but with perfect clarity that sees beyond all pretense. The image of Michael weighing souls appears across vastly different cultures. Ancient Egyptian art showed Anubis performing this task, measuring hearts against a feather, representing truth. As religious ideas traveled and blended, this powerful symbol transferred to Michael, whose scales became one of his most recognized attributes. Unlike court judgments that consider only specific actions, Michael's weighing encompasses the whole person. The scales measure not just what someone did, but who they became. Intentions matter alongside actions. Growth counts alongside accomplishment. The smallest acts of kindness register alongside grand gestures. Nothing good is too small to count. Nothing harmful remains hidden. Many medieval churches place this scene prominently above their doors. Carved in stone or painted in bright colors, Michael stands with balanced scales while souls await their moment of truth. These images reminded worshippers that life involves choices with lasting consequences, not to create fear, but to inspire mindfulness about how one lives. Though the image seems stern, stories emphasize Michael's compassion during this process. Where other angels might focus solely on justice, Michael remembers mercy. He notices growth and effort alongside success or failure. The Archangel understands human struggle in ways other celestial beings might not, making him the perfect bridge between divine perfection and human limitation. In Orthodox traditions, icons show Michael holding not just scales, but also a measuring rod. This subtle addition suggests he considers each soul according to its own journey and capabilities rather than an identical standard for all. What matters isn't reaching the same height, but growing as fully as one could with whatever gifts and challenges life provided. Jewish mystical texts describe Michael advocating for souls during this weighing when the scale tips toward judgment. He reminds the heavenly court of good deeds that might counterbalance mistakes. He points out circumstances that made perfect choices difficult. He asks for mercy even while upholding truth, a delicate balance few others could maintain. This weighing doesn't determine worth but destination. Which paths would best help each soul continue growing toward light? Those ready for greater brightness move toward it. Those needing more time find places where gentle learning can continue. The weighing sorts without rejecting, places without condemning. Personal accounts from those who've had near-death experiences sometimes mention a being of light reviewing their lives with them. Though not always named as Michael, this compassionate figure shows them their actions from multiple perspectives, especially how they affected others. This matches perfectly with Michael's traditional role as the one who helps souls see themselves clearly. The scales themselves appear differently across traditions. Sometimes they're made of gold, suggesting precious value in the weighing process. Other depictions show simple balance beams of wood or metal focusing on the accuracy rather than ornament. In some Eastern traditions, they're portrayed as bowls of light that glow more brightly with each good deed remembered. What makes Michael uniquely suited for this role is his perfect balance of qualities. He understands justice yet embodies mercy. He sees truth yet remembers context. He upholds divine standards while comprehending human weakness. In him, heaven's perfection meets earth's complexity with neither compromised. As we drift towards sleep, the image of Michael's scales might bring unexpected comfort. Not because we've lived perfectly, but because we'll be seen perfectly. Every struggle noticed, every small kindness counted, every genuine effort honored by eyes that see beyond surface appearance to the heart's true journey. Michael's deliverance of the righteous, protector, and rescuer. Throughout time, Michael has stood as humanity's guardian, a watchful presence in times of need. His name means who is like God, not a question of identity, but a statement that none can match divine power. This humble, yet mighty spirit serves as shield and sword for those who call upon him. In many tales, Michael comes to aid the faithful when danger looms. A warmth fills the air before his arrival. They say it is the sign of holy fire, a fire that harms no innocent. Unlike other angels who may bring messages or healing, Michael's purpose is rooted in guarding the world against evil's reach. The Psalms speak of such protection. He shall give his angels charge over thee. Promises Psalm 91. To keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Though the verse doesn't name Michael directly, tradition sees him as chief among these guardian spirits. Stories abound of people saved from fire, drawn from raging waters, or steered from disaster by a tall figure who vanishes once safety is restored. A traveler, lost in mountain mists, sees a path appear. A child, too close to a cliff's edge, feels something unseen pull them back. Many believe these quiet miracles reveal Michael's hidden hand. Jewish tradition holds that Michael watched over the patriarchs. He guided Abraham through lands unknown. He wrestled with Jacob at the ford of Jabbok. He appeared to Moses in the burning bush. Each time, Michael stood as defender against forces threatening God's chosen. Early Christian monks in desert solitude claimed Michael came to them when demons struck. He appeared not always in glory, but sometimes as a humble traveler or fellow monk. His presence didn't erase the trial, but gave the strength to endure it. In medieval Europe, sailors and fishermen prayed to Michael before setting sail. They believed he ruled over storm winds and waves. Coastal churches bearing his name still stand, built in gratitude for ships spared from wrecks. Eastern Orthodox believers recount how Michael saved Constantinople from siege. Guards on the walls saw a radiant figure above the city, sword raised, turning arrows and unsettling invading armies. When plague spread through towns, some claimed Michael stood at village edges, sword drawn, keeping death from homes steeped in prayer. Even if such visions now seem like legend, they offered deep comfort in perilous times. They reminded people that goodness does not sleep, that someone watches when danger looms. Even now, those who walk into uncertainty, soldiers, firefighters, parents beside a fevered child, whisper his name. The peace they feel speaks to a shared need for protection in an unpredictable world. Michael's role reminds us we're never fully alone. Whether taken as truth or symbol, the guardian archangel embodies a hope that light always stands sentry over shadow. The 7 archangels, Michael among the divine council. In the highest reaches of heaven, where human vision cannot go, stands a council of 7 mighty spirits. These archangels form heaven's inner circle, each entrusted with unique duties and divine gifts. Among them, Michael holds a place of special reverence, first among equals. Ancient texts name the 7 differently, but most include Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. The other 3 appear variably as Rugiel, Ramiel, Siriel, Shamuel, Jophiel, or Tsakiel, depending on the source. Together, they reflect the spectrum of divine light. The Book of Tobit, though absent in many Bibles, names this sacred circle clearly. I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels who present the prayers of the saints and enter into the presence of the glory of the Holy One. This verse unveils their dual role, messengers and ministers. When humanity stands at the brink of war, disaster, or plague, tradition holds that all 7 archangels respond. Michael, with balanced clarity, assigns their strengths where most needed. The image of Michael among these spirits reminds us, even the greatest serve as part of a whole. Though unmatched in power, Michael acts in harmony with his peers. He teaches that strength blossoms in unity. Michael in the Middle Ages, Crusades and Chivalry. As Europe stepped from its dark centuries, stories of Michael surged across castles and villages. Knights made him their patron, seeing in him the perfect union of sword and sanctity. His likeness adorned shields, banners, and sword hilts across Christendom. The knightly ideal, to defend the weak and serve a cause greater than self, found its match in the Archangel. Young men learning to wield blades prayed to Michael for courage and grace. Unlike earthly champions who could falter, Michael stood as eternal victor, holy and undefeated. During the Crusades, his veneration soared. Soldiers bound for Jerusalem believed Michael fought beside them. Their battle cries, "Saint Michael for us," rang through the fields. Some knights claimed visions before combat, glimpsing Michael above their tents, sword aglow against night's veil. Whether born of belief, fear, or strange light abroad, these visions gave strength. The most renowned shrine to Michael in Europe rises from a tidal island off France's coast, Mont Saint-Michel. Built where he reportedly appeared to a bishop, this fortress abbey seemed to lift from the sea itself at high tide. Crusaders paused there to pray before their journey east, seeking his blessing. Art from the time shows Michael clad in knightly armor, not robes. He bore the tools and garb familiar to medieval warriors: plate, longsword, and heraldic shield. This brought the heavenly prince into the world of earthly knights, a comrade from the divine realm. Chivalry's code, justice, loyalty, courage, and sacred duty, mirrored the values Michael embodied. Nobles learned of these virtues alongside tales of the Archangel who upheld them without fail. Michael taught them that true might serves more than pride. It defends truth. It serves heaven. Not all uses of Michael's image brought honor to his name. Some warmongers twisted his story to justify brutality against non-Christians. The Archangel who once showed restraint even when facing Satan became, in some hands, a symbol of religious violence. This misuse of his legacy stands as a warning. Even the purest ideals can be corrupted. Tournament grounds often featured Michael's image watching over the competitions. Knights would dedicate their victories to him, kneeling in gratitude after successful justs or melees. His presence reminded competitors that skill served virtue, that prowess without principle had no true value. Many chivalric orders formed under Michael's patronage during this period. The Order of Saint Michael in France, founded in 1469, became one of the most prestigious. Its members swore oaths to uphold justice and defend the realm, seeing themselves as earthly reflections of the heavenly defender. Women, too, found strength in Michael during medieval times. Noble ladies who managed estates while their husbands fought abroad looked to him as protector and symbol of resolve. They commissioned tapestries and manuscripts showing his victories, finding comfort in his watchful presence over their homes. Castle chapels often featured his image above doorways, symbolizing protection from physical and spiritual threats alike. Some fortresses even incorporated defensive features named after him. St. Michael's arrow loops allowed defenders to strike while remaining shielded from harm. As the Middle Ages progressed, stories of Michael evolved. Simple tales of supernatural aid became intricate allegories of the inner battle between good and evil. Priests taught that each person fought their own version of Michael's cosmic war, within heart and mind, choosing daily between divine order and selfish chaos. Michael's legacy lives on in place names, heraldic symbols, and art. From villages named St. Michael's Mount to family crests bearing his sword and wings, echoes of his power remain. Through plague, famine, and war, he stood for perfect justice wielded with unshakable power. In a world where earthly kings failed, the Archangel reminded many that someone fought without fail for what was right. Michael and the ladder to heaven, the ascension of souls. When life ends and breath stills, many traditions speak of a journey. Along this sacred path between worlds, Michael walks beside the soul. He knows the way through shadow and into light. He guards the ladder that connects earth to heaven. This ladder first appeared in Jacob's dream in Genesis, where angels ascended and descended. Though unnamed then, later traditions named Michael as keeper of this stairway. He helps worthy souls climb, while gently turning away those not yet ready for heaven's light. Medieval paintings often show Michael leading souls upward. His hand, steady and strong, guides them toward brightness. The dead appear childlike beside his towering form, their eyes filled with wonder. Eastern Orthodox Christians believe Michael receives the soul at death. He wraps it in cloths before carrying it into higher realms. This image transforms death from ending into birth, and Michael into midwife of the soul. The ladder itself varies across cultures. Some see wooden rungs ascending through clouds. Others describe a spiral mountain path. Still others envision a river of light. But in every vision, Michael stands nearby. He encourages the struggling, celebrates the rising. Each step may represent a virtue: patience, courage, wisdom, kindness. Michael helps the soul remember the qualities cultivated in life. Like a teacher reviewing lessons before a final test, he whispers what was learned but nearly forgotten. Not all souls climb easily. Some cling to what they've left behind. Michael waits with them, not forcing, not abandoning. Time bends in these places. He waits as long as understanding requires. Folk beliefs from many lands describe Michael weighing good deeds before ascent. This image blends judgment with guidance. Not all may climb, but all are judged with mercy. Some medieval texts tell of demons trying to pull souls from the ladder. Here, Michael defends them, his sword flashing to drive back darkness. These tales frame death as each soul's final battle between light and shadow. Coptic Christians hold monthly feasts for Michael, keeper of the ladder. Their prayers ask for his presence when the soul begins its rise. In gentler stories, Michael carries souls too weary to climb. Like a parent lifting a sleeping child, he bears those broken by life's weight. No soul worthy of heaven is left behind for lack of strength. Where human effort fails, divine mercy lifts. The ladder becomes a symbol of hope, that death leads somewhere, that we do not travel alone. Michael's hand, once raised in battle, now reaches out to guide. European folklore holds countless stories of Michael appearing near the dying. To those who honored him, he came as peace, not fear. His arrival was a welcome sign, a friend already waiting on the other side. These stories softened the fear of death. They offered comfort to the parting. Deathbed prayers invoke his name. Michael, light bearer, be with me in darkness. Michael, warrior, defend me in weakness. Michael, guide, show me the way home. These words still bring comfort. Michael and his ladder remind us, an end may be a beginning. The final step into darkness may be the first toward greater light. The archangel who has seen the rise and fall of civilizations waits to show each soul the way forward when their time on earth concludes. The great cosmic courtroom. Michael as divine intercessor. Beyond the veil that separates our world from eternity stands a divine courtroom. Here, justice and mercy meet as souls face judgment. In this solemn space, Michael serves not only as enforcer but also as advocate. He speaks on behalf of those whose lives revealed glimpses of goodness amid their flaws. Ancient Jewish texts describe Michael standing at the right hand of the divine throne. He presents the merits of those being judged. Remember, Lord, he says in these accounts, how this one fed the hungry though they had little themselves. Remember how that one spoke truth when lies would have been easier. His voice counters the accusations that focus only on failure. Unlike stern angels who catalog sins with cold precision, Michael approaches each case with hope. He searches each life for what was worth saving. Small kindnesses, silent courage, and private generosity that no one else witnessed. These, he argues, reveal the true person beneath their mistakes. The scales Michael carries in sacred art symbolize this balance. In one pan rest the soul's transgressions. In the other, their virtues. His thumb, some say, touches the side of mercy, suggesting divine judgment leans toward forgiveness. When the heart held genuine goodness, even imperfectly expressed. Medieval mystery plays portrayed this cosmic courtroom as a drama. Michael and Satan would argue over souls. The devil, a clever prosecutor, would list every fault and failure. Michael, radiant in armor, would counter with proof of repentance and intention. These performances taught that none are beyond redemption, if their core holds truth. Michael's advocacy doesn't dismiss wrongdoing. Instead, he places it in context. He understands human weakness firsthand. having watched our struggles since creation's dawn. This gives him perspective even divine judgment may not. He knows how difficult goodness can be under earthly pressures. Stories tell how Michael kneels before the throne when pleading difficult cases. The warrior who cast down rebels bends his knee in humility when asking mercy for flawed humans. His willingness to humble himself shows the value he places on each soul. In the Apocalypse of Paul, an early Christian text, Paul witnesses Michael weeping for souls facing judgment. This tender image reveals the depth of Michael's compassion. He fights not only for divine justice, but for human redemption. The tears of the warrior angel show that true strength includes the courage to feel deeply. Some traditions teach that Michael shows souls their lives from heaven's perspective before judgment begins. This vision reveals both harm and healing they caused, often unknowingly while alive. Many souls, seeing clearly at last, judge themselves more harshly than any court. Michael then steps forward as counselor, helping them understand that awareness begins healing. The soul that recognizes its failures has already taken the first step toward redemption. This understanding forms the core of Michael's defense. Not that humans achieve perfection, but that they can grow beyond their worst moments. Orthodox Christians call Michael Taxarch, a title meaning commander, but also one who brings order from chaos. In the cosmic courtroom, he brings order to the messy reality of human life, finding patterns of meaning in what otherwise seems like random failures and successes. Jewish Midrash tells how Michael brings forward not just good deeds, but the ripple effects those deeds created through time. A kind word that prevented a suicide, a small loan that saved a family business, a moment of forgiveness that healed a generations-old wound. All these consequences matter in final judgment. Medieval art sometimes shows Michael with a book of life, where the deeds of each soul are recorded. Unlike Satan's accusing list, Michael's book includes context and intention. He reads from it selectively, emphasizing what reveals character over isolated faults. As intercessor, Michael bridges perfection and imperfection. He understands both divine standards and human frailty. This dual awareness makes him the ideal advocate when mortal lives face immortal judgment. The image of Michael pleading our case offers hope. We are not judged solely by our worst moments. The divine court, with Michael's voice present, sees the full story. It includes potential never fulfilled, goodness attempted, and love offered, even when clumsily expressed. The celestial dragon slayer, Michael's ultimate victory. No image of Michael appears more often in sacred art than his triumph over the dragon. Sword raised, foot pressed to the writhing serpent, he stands as the slayer of chaos. This symbol speaks to something deep within the human soul, the hope that light defeats darkness. The book of Revelation paints this scene vividly. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, but prevailed not. This battle represents more than a fight. It captures the eternal struggle between good and evil, order and chaos. The dragon bears many names: Satan, Lucifer, the adversary, the serpent of old. Whatever the name, it symbolizes the forces that seek to unmake creation, to return all to void and shadow. Its scales gleam with false beauty. Its fire burns only to consume. Its wings do not lift, they smother hope. Michael meets this with righteous clarity. His sword does not swing from hatred, but from love of what the dragon would destroy. This distinction matters deeply. Michael does not fight for battle's sake, but because peace cannot exist while such chaos remains. Medieval crusaders carried banners of Michael's victory into war. The image gave courage. If heaven's champion could defeat the greatest foe, then perhaps they, too, could prevail. Churches and castles throughout Europe still bear stone carvings of this scene above their doors, promising protection to all who enter. The dragon itself holds deeper meaning than a mere monster. Its serpentine form recalls the Eden tempter who first turned humans from divine harmony. Its multiple heads in some depictions represent the many forms evil takes in the world: violence, greed, deception, pride. By standing victorious over this complex threat, Michael symbolizes triumph over evil in all its manifestations. Eastern Orthodox icons show this battle differently than Western art. Instead of graphic combat, They often portray Michael standing calmly, his spear touching the dragon almost gently, his face showing compassion rather than rage. This suggests victory through spiritual authority rather than brute force. Evil cannot stand in the presence of perfect goodness. The dragon's defeat carries echoes of earlier myths from many cultures. St. George, Perseus, Marduk, Thor, all faced serpentine chaos monsters. Michael's battle thus feels familiar across cultural boundaries, tapping into humanity's oldest stories about the need to maintain order against forces that would return all to primordial chaos. Unlike human dragon slayers who claim treasure afterward, Michael seeks no reward. His victory brings restoration, not personal gain. The battle itself serves divine purpose, not individual glory. In this, he models leadership that places community welfare above personal advancement, service above self-interest. For those facing their own dragons, addiction, fear, hatred, doubt, Michael's image offers hope. The battle may seem impossible, the enemy too powerful. Yet even the greatest darkness falls before determined light. Many in recovery programs or fighting illness keep his image nearby as inspiration when their strength falters. Artistic depictions evolve through centuries. Early versions show a solemn, almost reluctant warrior fulfilling necessary duty. Renaissance paintings added dramatic flair, billowing cloaks, elaborate armor, dynamic poses. Baroque works emphasized the emotional intensity of the moment. Each era projected its own understanding of heroism onto the eternal battle. The weapon Michael wields varies across traditions. Sometimes it's a spear recalling Roman soldiers. Often it's a sword, symbol of knightly virtue. Occasionally, it's a ray of light, suggesting divine power rather than physical force. In Eastern traditions, he may hold scales in one hand while subduing the dragon with the other, showing that justice defeats chaos, not merely strength. The moment of victory appears differently as well. Some works show the final thrust, sword plunging into the beast. Others depict the aftermath, Michael standing calmly over his fallen foe. The most theologically nuanced show the dragon chained rather than killed, evil bound and limited rather than completely destroyed, reflecting the ongoing nature of spiritual warfare. Modern interpretations sometimes place this battle within the human heart rather than cosmic space. The dragon represents our own darker impulses. Michael stands for our higher nature. This psychological reading transforms ancient myth into contemporary self-understanding without losing the power of the original image. Across all versions, Michael's victory reminds us that chaos does not have the final word. Though dragons rise in each generation, as war, oppression, cruelty, or despair, so too rises the courage to face them. The Archangel's triumph is not just history but promise. What has fallen before can fall again when light stands firm against darkness. Michael's influence on angelology, defining angelic orders. The study of angels, their nature, purpose, and hierarchy, owes much to Michael's example. As the most frequently mentioned angel in Scripture, he provides the clearest window into the heavenly realm. Theologians across centuries have looked to him when trying to understand the broader angelic host. Early Christian writers like Pseudo-Dionysius developed complex systems describing 9 choirs of angels arranged in 3 spheres. At the top stood seraphim, cherubim, and thrones, beings of pure worship and contemplation. The middle ranks included dominions, virtues, and powers, administrators of cosmic order. The lowest sphere contained principalities, archangels, and angels, messengers who interact most directly with humanity. In this elaborate structure, Michael holds a unique position. Though named an archangel from the lowest sphere, his authority and access to divine presence suggest higher standing. Some traditions resolve this by placing him as leader of the archangels while granting him honorary status among the seraphim. Others see him moving freely between ranks as divine purpose requires. Thomas Aquinas, the medieval theologian, used Michael as his model when describing angelic intelligence. Unlike humans who learn gradually through experience, angels grasp truth instantly and completely. Michael's decisive actions in Scripture, his battle with Satan, his defense of Israel, showed this clarity of understanding. No hesitation slowed him. No confusion clouded his purpose. Michael's fiery sword became central to understanding angelic nature. Unlike physical fire that consumes, angelic flame transforms. It burns away impurity without destroying what is good. When Michael wields his sword, he separates truth from falsehood, right from wrong, a living embodiment of discernment rather than destruction. The wings that carry Michael between heaven and earth prompted extensive theological discussion. Do angels actually have wings? Or is this symbolic language for human benefit? The consensus emerged that spiritual beings need no physical means of movement, yet may manifest wings when appearing to humans, helping us grasp their freedom from earthly constraints through familiar imagery. Michael's appearances in human form raise questions about angelic bodies. Could purely spiritual beings take physical shape? The answer drawn from Michael's biblical encounters suggested that angels could create temporary physical manifestations when their missions required interaction with the material world. The concept of guardian angels, spirits assigned to protect individuals, grew partly from Michael's protective role over Israel. If the mighty archangel watched over an entire nation, perhaps lesser angels might guard individual souls. This comforting belief took root across cultures, offering people hope that unseen helpers stood nearby in times of need. Medieval scholars debated whether angels like Michael could feel emotions. His righteous anger against evil suggested yes. Yet his perfect obedience to divine will implied freedom from the passions that often cloud human judgment. The conclusion many reached distinguished between disordered human emotions and the perfect ardor of angelic beings, a love and zeal untainted by self-interest. Michael's role in bearing souls to heaven influenced beliefs about angelic purpose. Beyond delivering messages or fighting spiritual battles, angels serve as bridges between the mortal and immortal realms. They guide worthy souls in crossing from time into eternity, from partial understanding to fuller vision of divine reality. The question of angelic free will often centers on the contrast between Michael and Lucifer. Both began as magnificent celestial beings, radiant and mighty. Yet one remained faithful, the other rebelled. This suggests angels possess genuine choice, not merely operate as divine machinery. Michael's steadfast loyalty reveals ongoing devotion, not automatic obedience. By the Renaissance, artists distinguished angelic types through Michael's influence. Archangels like him appeared armored and bold, bearing the signs of their missions. Guardian angels took softer, approachable forms. Cherubim became winged children. Seraphim emerged as beings wrapped in fire, faces hidden by wings in reverence. Even angelic communication underwent reflection through Michael's appearances. Where humans use sound and words, angels transmit entire truths, concepts conveyed in fullness, instantly. When Michael declared, "Who is like God?" it wasn't mere defiance. It held the fullness of divine vision. Modern discussions on angels still invoke Michael. His continued presence across religions makes him a starting point for interfaith reflections. Whether literal being or symbolic force, he remains a bridge to what lies beyond. Through centuries of theology and vision, Michael stands as the pattern. Powerful yet humble, fierce yet fair, exalted yet always in service. Michael and the fallen angels. The war that never ends. Even after Lucifer's fall, the conflict with the fallen continues. This isn't distant myth, but an active campaign, an invisible war threading through the cosmos. Victory in heaven brought order, but vigilance must hold it. The Book of Enoch, though outside most Bibles, tells of these later battles. It speaks of angels, called the Watchers, who left their stations to dwell among humans. They brought forbidden knowledge. Corruption followed. Michael led the divine answer. He bound the Watchers in darkness, awaiting final judgment. Unlike the first clash in heaven, these wars unfold on earth. Fallen angels use deception, not force. They speak lies, stir confusion, feed humanity's worst instincts. Michael resists with light, with truth. He shields those striving for higher paths. These beings are strange in their nature. Not fully angels, not fully demons. They dwell in between, grace fallen, judgment pending. Some traditions describe them as spirits seeking bodies, others as minds that twist fate from behind curtains. Michael meets this ongoing war differently than the first. That battle required the sword. This one demands discernment. He does not destroy recklessly. He restricts their sway while preserving human freedom. Ancient texts recount his battles with named traitors. Azel, who gave humans weapons and vanity. Syaza, who led rebellion. Each victory teaches the cure for each corruption. Medieval monks knew this warfare in solitude. They described temptation, fear, desire sent to undo them. They called on Michael. In reply came sudden clarity. Like mist parted by dawn. This conflict won't end in treaties. Only final judgment will close it. Revelation speaks of one last battle. Michael will rise again. The dragon will fall forever. Mystical tradition says fallen spirits cannot cross sacred thresholds. Doorposts marked, prayers spoken, rituals filled with meaning. Michael keeps such spaces sealed. He guards borders between holy and profane. Not all the fallen are hardened. Some traditions whisper of regretful ones. Not enemies to destroy, beings to contain until mercy decides. Michael treats them with restraint. He binds, not punishes. Exorcists call his name against demons, the corrupted beyond repair. He does not use cruelty. He uses truth. Darkness flees from clear light. Lies unravel under real clarity. His weapons are not brute steel. They are names, truths, sacred love. Fallen forces cannot stand before these. Their victories are brief illusions, granted only by human belief in their lies. Every era knows collapse. Every age sees chaos. When it comes, people pray anew. They ask Michael to draw his sword again, to defend what cannot defend itself. In story and scripture, in symbol and sky, Michael's war still burns. It burns until all things are set right again. From ancient epics to modern novels, the pattern Michael established continues to shape how we understand the battle between light and darkness. The continuing conflict between Michael and fallen angels symbolizes hope that evil, however powerful it seems in the moment, faces ultimate defeat. Though perfect resolution awaits the end of time, each small victory in the present, each truth embraced, each temptation resisted, each act of courage or kindness aligns with Michael's eternal campaign for divine order against chaos. Michael's role in the final judgment, the end of time. When time reaches its fullness and history completes its arc, Michael takes his place in the final judgment. The trumpet that signals this moment may well be his. Ancient texts often name him Herald of the End. His voice will call forth both living and dead to stand before divine justice and mercy. Unlike earlier interventions where Michael acted partly hidden from human sight, this final appearance holds nothing back. Scripture describes him descending with shout and trumpet blast, visible to all. The warrior who once fought in heavenly realms now brings that battle to its conclusion on earth, where the original rebellion first tainted creation. The book of Daniel speaks directly to this role. At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. This rising marks transition from guardian to judge, from protecting during history's course to implementing its final resolution. The patient watchman becomes the decisive actor. As souls gather for judgment, Michael stands with his scales. Each life faces fair assessment. Not just outward actions, but inner motives. Not just public statements, but private thoughts. Yet this evaluation comes with complete understanding of human struggle and divine mercy. Remembering our frame is dust. The graves open at his command, returning those long dead to face accounting. Michael ensures none are forgotten or overlooked. Neither the mighty who built monuments to themselves, nor the humble whose resting places have been lost to time. Palace or pauper's field, all ground yields its sleepers at his call. Eastern Orthodox tradition assigns Michael specific duties in this final scene. He will place the cross as judgment seat, gather scattered bones, lead forth souls from Hades, read aloud the record of deeds from his book of life, and finally separate souls according to their response to divine love. Unlike human judges bound by limited knowledge, Michael sees clearly what each soul truly loves and seeks. This insight allows perfect justice tempered with perfect understanding. Those who oriented their lives toward light find themselves naturally drawn toward its source. Those who consistently chose darkness find its absence unbearable. The New Jerusalem described in Revelation represents the ultimate restoration Michael helps establish. This isn't just a city, but a completely renewed creation where harmony replaces conflict. Having defended divine order throughout cosmic history, Michael now witnesses its full flowering, the world as it was always meant to be. Many traditions speak of Michael establishing a bridge over which souls must cross to reach eternal life. This narrow path spans an abyss of fire, becoming broad and easy for the righteous, but thin as a hair for those weighed down by wrongdoing. He stands guard, ensuring none cross who would bring chaos into perfected creation. The flaming sword Michael has carried throughout time serves its final purpose here, not primarily as weapon, but as purifying flame. What cannot harmonize with divine love must be transformed or set aside. This fire burns away falsehood while preserving truth, consumes hatred while enhancing love. Jewish mystical teachings describe Michael leading the righteous in a final victory dance after judgment concludes. This joyful celebration marks the culmination of history's long struggle, the moment when tears end and every faithful choice receives its recognition. Having stood guard through humanity's darkest hours, the Archangel now leads its greatest celebration. Ancient texts suggest Michael's role changes once judgment completes. The warrior becomes witness. The guardian becomes guide. Having defended creation throughout its troubled history, he now helps the redeemed explore its renewed splendor. The sword transforms to walking staff. Armor gives way to festive robes. Both Jewish and Christian apocalyptic writings agree that Michael's final victory establishes permanent peace. Unlike earlier triumphs that required ongoing vigilance against returning chaos, this ultimate restoration permits no reversal. What Michael helped defend through temporary measures throughout history now stands secured forever. The river of life flowing through the restored creation recalls Michael's association with healing waters. His protection over sacred springs during earthly history finds fulfillment in this eternal river, clear as crystal, bringing constant renewal. What he guarded in part, he now helps distribute in fullness. Early desert fathers taught that Michael's final role includes revealing divine mysteries previously hidden. Knowledge too dazzling for fallen perception becomes accessible as Michael guides the redeemed into deeper understanding. The archangel who once fought to defend truth now unveils it completely. Catholic tradition speaks of Michael leading all faithful angels and humans in eternal worship once judgment concludes. His voice, once raised in battle cry, now leads heaven's choir. The perfect obedience he modeled throughout cosmic history becomes perfect praise, an endless holy, holy, holy before the divine throne. Perhaps most beautifully, some early texts suggest Michael helps reunite loved ones separated by death. The archangel who guided individual souls homeward now facilitates joyful recognition as families, friends, and communities reform in eternal light. The guardian of separate journeys becomes witness to their blessed convergence. In this final restoration, Michael's victory proves complete, not through destruction, but through transformation. The cosmic war ends not with enemies vanquished, but with opposition transformed. Perfect justice meets perfect mercy as Michael helps establish the world reborn, creation's true and lasting peace. Modern devotion to Michael, the celestial guardian. Even in our technological age, Michael continues to inspire devotion across faiths and cultures. His name adorns churches, chapels, and prayer groups worldwide. Police officers, soldiers, paramedics, and firefighters still wear his medal. Professional guardians finding kinship with the celestial protector. The Catholic Church maintains special devotion to Michael through prayers, feast days, and consecrated shrines. September 29th marks his primary feast, a sacred day shared with fellow archangels Gabriel and Raphael. On this day, believers across the world attend Mass, gather for shared meals, and renew their connection to heavenly guardianship. Perhaps the most famous prayer to Michael came from Pope Leo XIII in 1886, after he received a troubling vision during Mass. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. This prayer, once recited after every Mass until the 1960s, has experienced a quiet revival in recent decades. Orthodox Christians honor Michael even more frequently. Special services are held on the 6th day of each month, and major celebrations take place in September and November. Their liturgies address him as the chief commander, recalling his ancient interventions on behalf of the faithful. Icons portraying him in brilliant armor still occupy prominent spaces in Eastern churches. Mont Saint-Michel in France draws over 3 million visitors every year. Not all arrive as pilgrims, yet all encounter the Archangel's enduring presence. This island sanctuary, with its spires seeming to pierce heaven itself, stands as physical testimony to centuries of unwavering devotion. Inside its ancient walls, prayers have risen almost unbroken since the 8th century. Modern spiritual warfare traditions across denominations still call upon Michael when confronting what they believe are societal evils. In times of addiction, violence, corruption, or moral decline, his name becomes a rallying cry for those seeking divine renewal. Jewish communities maintain their long-standing connection to Michael through prayer and tradition. One prayer recited before sleep includes a plea for his protection through the night's vulnerable hours. At the close of Sabbath, certain traditions teach that Michael leads the souls of the righteous back from the elevated spiritual state of the holy day. Across Latin America, Michael enjoys special devotion as the patron of police forces and military units. Statues of the Archangel subduing evil are found in town squares and government buildings alike. Annual processions honor his protection. Uniformed officers carry his image through city streets, while families offer whispered prayers for safety. Even those without formal religious ties often recognize Michael as an enduring symbol of protective strength. His image appears in popular culture, art, and literature. Sometimes he is directly referenced. Other times, he inspires fictional guardians who embody his courage, justice, and steadfast defense of the innocent. Hospital chapels frequently display Michael's likeness. They acknowledge the spiritual battle that so often accompanies physical healing. Patients facing difficult diagnoses or treatments find strength in the presence of this archangel, known for both his might and his mercy. Some medical professionals quietly invoke his aid before undertaking complex procedures. The prayer for Michael's protection has evolved into a broader cultural tradition. People from all walks of life whisper his name when facing danger or uncertainty. Soldiers before battle, students at exams, patients before surgery, travelers at departure. Sacred sites dedicated to Michael often share distinct characteristics. They rise from high mountains, cling to coastal promontories, or sit where land touches sky or sea. These dramatic landscapes mirror Michael's nature as mediator between the earthly and the divine. Modern pilgrims still visit these ancient shrines. They come seeking contact with something that transcends the mundane. Contemporary spiritual practices now include Michael's energy in meditation, visualization, and quiet rituals. These practices lean less on doctrine and more on personal experience of protection and illumination. Practitioners report sensations of warmth, clarity, and light when they connect with the Archangel's presence. Across cultures and faiths, parents still name their children Michael. It remains one of the most beloved and enduring names globally. Each person who bears it carries a quiet echo of the Archangel's strength. In times of global crisis, pandemics, war, environmental disasters, interest in Michael rises anew. People long for assurance that darkness does not have the final word, that somewhere beyond our vision, a guardian still watches. Michael's modern appeal lies in his balance, power paired with restraint. In a world too often marked by either silent weakness or violent force, he stands as a figure of principled might. He fights not from fury, but from conviction, and only for worthy causes. Military chaplains across faiths invoke his name on behalf of those facing war. His medal often travels with soldiers into danger, a tangible reminder of courage born not from rage, but from love of justice. In field hospitals and at memorials, his name remains a symbol of meaning in the face of sacrifice. Even the digital world now holds space for Michael. Online prayer groups devoted to him connect believers across continents. Social platforms host communities sharing artwork, testimonies, and whispered prayers in his name. Virtual candles burn on websites. They flicker in silence for those seeking his watchful care. Whether reached through formal religion, private devotion, or symbolic tradition, Michael continues to embody the hope that no soul walks alone. The ancient guardian still stands, sword raised, wings wide, eyes bright, watching a world still finding its way to light. Michael in popular culture, from warrior to anti-hero. Through every generation, his presence never fades. In modern times, his powerful image fills pages and screens. Films, books, shows, and games reimagine him constantly. Sometimes he appears as the perfect warrior. Other times, his character is shaded with doubt or depth. The Michael we see today often reflects our own inner struggle. Some tales still show him as the ideal soldier. His sword glows with divine light. He follows heaven's command without hesitation. These versions echo ancient stories, where Michael stands tall against darkness. Yet modern narratives add complexity. Some portray him questioning his orders, torn between justice and mercy. This evolution reflects our growing understanding of moral ambiguity, of duty weighed against conscience. In the film Legion, Michael takes a bold step. He defies heaven's command to protect humanity. Other angels seek to destroy. Michael chooses to save. His rebellion echoes Lucifer's fall, but with an entirely different heart. He does not rebel from pride. He breaks rank out of love. The film invites us to ask, when must duty yield to compassion? And in that question, Michael once again becomes our mirror. The long-running show Supernatural paints yet another picture of the Archangel. Here, Michael appears as a complex figure, powerful but flawed. He follows his father's will, yet reveals hints of pride and moments of cruelty. This version reminds us that power, even when meant for good, can shape those who wield it. Comic books have pushed even further in reimagining the divine warrior. Some portray him with wings of steel and burning eyes, waging battle across galaxies. Others show him as a weary soldier, tired of endless war, craving peace but bound to duty. These bold retellings blend ancient traits with modern conflicts. Michael's strength, sense of justice, and role as heaven's champion remain. But now he questions. He doubts. He chooses paths not always straight. What gives these stories their power is how they join ancient faith with modern struggle. Michael becomes the meeting point, sacred, yet humanly close. His battles unfold not only in realms unseen, but in minds, choices, and quiet moments. Even in video games, Michael leaves his mark. Players may embody him, or face him as a formidable foe. These encounters draw on our deep yearning to grasp something greater, to shape fate between the worlds. Through every modern tale, Michael still represents hope. That good will, in the end, overcome. But now, his story includes the struggle of choosing the just path in a world painted in grace. When the final breath escapes the body, old beliefs say we don't walk alone. In many traditions, Michael comes to meet the departing soul, a guide across the veil. This role softens the Archangel's fierce image, showing tenderness beside power. In medieval art, Michael holds scales, carefully weighing each soul. His eyes are not cruel, but keen, watchful, fair. To those fearing the unknown, these images brought peace. Not cold silence, but a hand extended in light. Where reapers bring chill, Michael brings warmth. He knows the strange paths beyond death. This image of him links to Anubis in Egypt or Hermes of Greece. Ancient guides across the final threshold, bridges between breath and stillness. The idea of such a guide meets a deep longing. We fear not just dying, but being lost. Michael's role eases that fear. He ensures that none wander the dark alone. In Eastern icons, he is seen cradling souls gently. His wings shelter them, guarding the passage. Death, like birth, happens under sacred watch. Stories tell how Michael greets the good not as judge, but as a friend. His sword remains sheathed. He stands not to test, but to receive. Churches once painted Michael near graveyards, reminders that the journey continued. As bodies returned to dust, souls rose with heavenly help. This role reveals his fullness. The slayer of evil also guards the fragile. His strength steadies not just battlefields, but breaking hearts. To the dying and the grieving, Michael's waiting presence offers peace. Crossing from life into the beyond need not be terror, but a guided walk into light. Among early Christian visions, the apocalypse of Peter stands alone. Though not canonized, it gave vivid glimpses of afterlife, heaven and hell. And in these visions, Michael again appears. This text claims to reveal what Peter saw when Christ showed him eternal destinies. Though strange to modern ears, it shaped ancient imagination. Michael moves throughout this otherworldly vision. In one harrowing scene, he guides Peter through hell. Each corner of torment matches sins on earth. Unlike medieval texts that revel in punishment, this one offers solemn insight. Michael explains each scene, not with joy, but gravity. Peter weeps. Michael comforts. He reminds Peter that mercy can still reach even the depths. Here, the warrior hopes for souls, not just justice, but redemption. This text never joined the official scriptures. Some doubted Peter's authorship. Others found its language too severe. Yet it endured in hearts and minds. Michael's portrayal lingered, not just as soldier, but as interpreter of mystery. He stands beside Peter, helping him understand, helping all readers understand. In the vision, Michael leads souls, both lost and saved. He explains why some suffer, gently refusing to reduce their fate to cruelty. He speaks of echoes, how choices ripple through eternity. Later scenes show him bringing the blessed to their reward. The contrast is clear, harsh to the rebellious, tender to the faithful. He becomes the model of balanced love, correcting where needed, comforting where allowed. Though few churches speak of this vision today, its power remains. Michael's dual role, fierce and kind, continues to shape how we imagine the unseen. He stands ready to guide, to witness, to explain, a figure beyond doctrine, seen through ancient eyes, still whispering through modern hearts. When heaven feels distant and prayers seem to disappear into silence, tradition speaks of Michael standing in the space between. He lifts human words to divine ears and returns with mercy folded into the response. This role, as sacred messenger and bridge, shapes how generations continue to see the Archangel. Unlike guardian angels watching over individuals, Michael speaks on behalf of all. In seasons of plague, war, famine, communities turned first to him. They believed that heaven's prince gave weight to every plea he carried. Ancient Jewish writings describe Michael defending Israel's name before God. When Satan accused, Michael answered. He reminded the Holy One of promises given to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. This intercession passed from Jewish roots into wider faith traditions. During the Black Death, towns across Europe placed themselves under Michael's shield. Church bells rang out his name. Priests walked streets in solemn procession, calling for his sword to drive back death. What makes Michael unlike any other advocate is his twofold access. He stands in the divine presence, yet walks within human pain. He has battled where we struggle. He knows the cost of the fight. Medieval stories tell of Michael appearing in dire hours, a village under siege, a ship lost in storm, a child drawing final breaths. Again and again, people saw a light that turned disaster into deliverance. Such stories spread like sacred fire. They lit new prayers with old belief. People did not only ask Michael to protect them, they asked him to speak for them. Statues of the Archangel stood watch at church entrances, between world and altar. It was the perfect place for one who stood between earth and heaven. Even now, in dark hours, the name of Michael rises like a whisper of hope. He remains the comforting thought that no cry goes unheard. Michael's sword matters, but so does his heart. Strong enough for war, soft enough to carry our needs into light. The angelic war revisited. Psychological and allegorical analysis. The ancient clash between Michael and Lucifer holds truths deeper than combat. It mirrors the war we each wage within. Michael represents discipline, devotion, and chosen loyalty. His declaration, "Who is like God?" The very meaning of his name wasn't blind obedience. It was clarity, alignment, the higher self choosing what is holy. Lucifer stands for unchecked ambition, selfishness crowned with fire. His cry, "I will ascend," echoes our own moments of pride that forget the good of others. This war lives inside each of us. Every day, every time we choose between what is noble and what is easy, the story endures because it reveals the deep rhythm of human choice. Michael and Lucifer aren't far-off figures. They are patterns in our own soul. Psychologist Carl Jung might call Michael the self, whole, integrated, grounded in truth. Lucifer, then, becomes the shadow, all we deny, repress, or use wrongly. Their battle isn't to destroy, but to integrate, to make the heart whole. Theologians add another layer. Michael reflects light. He claims no power for himself. Lucifer's fall warns that glory turned inward becomes collapse. Communities, too, live this story. Will we build for all, or fracture for a few? Will order guard justice, or power mask greed? This old story saw these questions long before we had words like ego or inner self. It gave us a map. It asked, in your next choice, who will you follow? Michael, the one who bows? Or Lucifer, the one who rises without reason? The tale moves from heaven into homes, from myth into mourning. It is no longer distant. It is daily. Michael in the age of prophecy, modern-day visions and predictions. In quiet circles and whispered rooms, the name of Michael still stirs the air. Even now, even in an age of code and cloud, prophecies speak of him gathering, not armies we can see, but hosts of unseen strength, prepared for coming struggle. These visions move across traditions, old and new, formal and fringe, from prayer circles to pulpits, from sacred books to sudden dreams. In these accounts, Michael returns not only as warrior, but as herald. His sword rises not in rage, but in readiness, a shield for those who have none. Modern seers describe him as brilliant, radiant, weapon in hand, voice like thunder, not as a destroyer, but as a reminder. Heaven has not forgotten the world. These visions often blend scripture with sudden insight. And why do they endure? Because fear endures, and with it, the need to believe someone strong still watches. Michael's image answers that longing. He does not promise ease, but he does promise presence. A presence forged in fire and prayer. A presence that rises when the night falls. For many, he stands where angels meet mankind, where chaos is met by clarity, where the end is not fear, but fulfillment. And in that edge between now and forever, he waits, sword lifted, not to punish, but to protect. Catholic visionaries at places like Fatima and Garabandal reported Michael appearing even before Mary herself arrived. They saw him as a herald, preparing the way. This aligns with his ancient biblical role, the one who goes before God's presence. Modern seers continue in this pattern, claiming Michael now appears ahead of greater divine messages. End times literature often features Michael in a central, looming role. Books, websites, and countless videos explore how prophecies about him might unfold in our lifetime. While mainstream scholars urge caution around these detailed predictions, such ideas spread rapidly among those hungry for signs. What sets modern prophecies apart is their immediacy. Many believe Michael's return is imminent, just around the corner. They see current wars, climate shifts, and moral divides as signs that the final battle draws near. Michael, sword drawn, waits behind the veil. Some movements go further than waiting. They seek to actively join his spiritual campaign. Prayer warriors gather to fight at his side, invoking his name for protection, strength, and clarity. Whether such visions reflect divine revelation or human yearning remains unknown. But what's certain, Michael's story continues to evolve, reshaped for each new generation. His image, the celestial warrior, adapts to reflect modern fears, longings, and hopes. For many, he is a reminder that good will prevail. When human strength feels insufficient, the idea of heaven's greatest general standing guard renews courage. Michael in the age of the apocalypse, defender of humanity. As the horizon darkens with war, plague, and unrest, old tales about Michael rise again with renewed urgency. End-time beliefs across faiths center him as the shield against final darkness. His role stretches beyond the heavens, to earth, as its last protector. In visions of the end, he stands guard over faithful communities. Ancient texts say he watches those who remain true amid rising shadows. Where some angels bring judgment or trumpet blasts, Michael comes not to destroy, but to defend. The concept of rapture often includes Michael. In some traditions, he leads the gathering of faithful souls, ensuring none are forgotten. His wings stretch wide as storms descend, offering shelter to those marked by devotion. Tales abound, from desert monks to modern mystics. They speak of Michael marking homes and hearts. Much like the Passover blood that shielded Israel, his seal identifies those he will defend when chaos rises. These stories offer comfort, not merely in their grandeur, but in the hope they carry. Even when darkness thickens, Michael stands with sword in hand. He is heaven's might, withdrawn only when the battle is over. Some accounts speak of Michael battling the final tyrant, the Antichrist. As this figure deceives and rises, Michael works unseen, restraining harm until the time of judgment. He cannot prevent all suffering, but his presence ensures evil never fully conquers. In prayers written for troubled times, his name is called often. They ask him to defend hope, stand beside us, and guard faith. These prayers strike a chord, a balance between dread and trust. In Jewish tradition, Michael will rise during Earth's last crisis to shield Israel. Christian teachings expand this, embracing all true believers. Both streams speak of the same promise. When the end draws near, the greatest of heaven's defenders will rise. What peace this gives to those in turmoil. When strength fails, the vision of Michael's flaming sword standing between good and evil strengthens weary hearts. No matter how high the darkness rises, something greater still stands. These end-time roles complete his arc, from the beginning of creation to its final dawn. The one who cast down pride at the world's start returns to protect humility at its close. Michael and the mystical orders, knights, warriors, and secret societies. Through hidden corridors of history, devoted followers gathered under Michael's name. From knightly orders to silent brotherhoods, these groups made him their patron. Their aim was simple: bring heavenly justice to earthly soil. The Knights of St. Michael, one of the earliest orders, formed in medieval France. These warrior monks swore not just to kings, but to the heavenly general himself. Before battle, they would kneel in prayer, seeking Michael's guidance. Their banners bore his likeness, wings extended, sword lifted high, a symbol meant to inspire allies and strike fear into enemies. Their devotion ran deeper than simple faith. They sought connection, a direct channel to divine strength. By reflecting his virtues, courage, loyalty, and righteous might, they became earthly echoes of Michael's fire. Their motto mirrored his eternal cry, "Who is like God?" Stories spread of battlefield miracles linked to these orders. Some swore they saw a radiant figure charging at the front, a vision of Michael leading the way. Whether real or imagined, such tales gave courage. Not all of Michael's followers fought with steel. Some formed quiet circles of spiritual defense. In monasteries or hidden rooms, they prayed and fasted, engaging in warfare of another kind. Words and rituals replaced swords. But their aim was the same: stand against the rising dark. Some groups created rites of passage, shaped in Michael's image. New initiates might endure vigils before his icon, seeking signs, dreams, or direction. Their battles took place in silence, their victories unseen. But to them, they were no less warriors. Michael's banner still flew in their hearts. His call still stirred their purpose. In every era, through sword or silence, fire or prayer, the faithful gathered beneath his name. And still, they gather. Others within these orders faced tests of both courage and faith, designed to prove their worthiness to serve beneath his banner. The line between sacred devotion and superstition often blurred in these circles. Some believed that certain amulets or prayers guaranteed Michael's protection in battle. Others developed detailed rituals, convinced they could summon his direct intervention. Church authorities frequently viewed such practices with suspicion. They warned that these customs sometimes strayed too far into magic, losing the grounding of true faith. Yet not every group fell into excess or error. Many simply longed to honor Michael's example by living lives of service, of defense, of protection. They watched over travelers, guarded sacred sites, and stood firm against those who preyed on the helpless. In this grounded and practical devotion, they may have come closest to living the meaning of what Michael truly represents. Even today, countless military and protective services across the globe uphold connections to Michael. Police emblems in various nations still bear his likeness. Paratroopers, special forces, and peacekeepers invoke him as their patron. These modern warriors continue a deep and ancient tradition, seeking Michael's courage as they face danger. What binds all these orders together across time is a single belief: that heaven's strength can flow through human hands when hearts align with divine purpose. In Michael, They see the model of power used with restraint, strength guided by justice, action taken not for self-glory, but in service of higher good. Protector of the faithful. As night descends upon the earth and shadows stretch long, one ancient comfort endures: the belief in vigilant eyes that never close. In Michael, standing silent guard. Across ages of suffering and conflict, the image of this eternal guardian has brought peace to restless hearts. Michael, unlike saints who once walked as mortals, is not bound by human beginning or end. He has stood sentinel since the dawn of creation, and he will not yield his post until the very last page of time turns. This timeless presence makes him the perfect symbol of God's unwavering care, never slumbering, never turning away, never abandoning his charge. Parents for centuries have whispered his name over sleeping children, trusting his unseen wings to spread over little beds. Travelers have carried medallions with his image, trusting his guidance across perilous roads. Soldiers carved his likeness into shields, then etched it onto dog tags, believing he walked with them into war. What makes this protector role so profound is how intimate it becomes. Though Michael guards all creation, tradition holds he responds to a single cry. The greatest angel bends low to the smallest voice. Power beyond stars listens for whispers from a child. Churches built on high, treacherous mountain passes often bear Michael's name. Their bells ring through storm and snow, guiding the lost towards sanctuary. They rise not only as beacons of safety, but as reminders that spiritual help stands near in our hardest hours. Tales from distant cultures tell of Michael's appearance when hope has all but vanished. A flash of light in deep darkness, a path revealed where none was seen, a voice heard in the silence, offering calm in the heart of confusion. These accounts, separated by centuries and continents, repeat one message: that Michael answers need. The image of Michael, sword drawn and wings spread, graces icons, amulets, and prayer cards. Yet his protection flows through more than objects or symbols. Believers speak of moments when harm seemed certain, yet never came. A sudden peace, a sense of shelter, a feeling of presence. What sets Michael apart among protectors is his dual nature. He guards not just bodies, but souls. His vigilance extends beyond physical harm to threats that pull hearts astray. He watches both realms we move through, the visible and the veiled. Even those who never step inside temples often find comfort in this ancient protector. The idea that heaven's mightiest defender takes personal interest in human need. The name Michael touches something buried deep in us. A longing to believe that goodness stands guard, that light watches through darkness. This guardian role completes the portrait. Beyond warrior, beyond judge, he is, at heart, the perfect protector, the one who rises between danger and those he loves. Sword drawn, wings outstretched, eyes unwavering in the longest night. The legacy of Michael, the eternal warrior and divine enforcer, unfolds before us. As our journey through his tale draws to its still point, we behold a legacy not bound by years, but flowing through all of time. From parchment to pixel, from scroll to screen, his presence threads like a golden breath through the stories we tell. Michael's narrative bridges what is above and what lies beneath. He ties heaven to earth, past to what is still becoming. Why does Michael endure, while others fade into history's dusk? Perhaps because he shows us that absolute strength can walk in perfect restraint. In a world where power so often corrodes, Michael remains faithful. His sword does not seek glory. His might does not dominate. He uses power as it was meant to be used, purely, humbly, and for others. Across centuries of art, he appears again and again, wings unfurled like dawn, armor blazing with heaven's fire, a face both stern and gentle. Yet beyond his image, something deeper calls. He is the hope that forces greater than us care for what we cannot see. He is the reminder that we are not alone against the dark. Judaism calls him Israel's guardian. Christianity names him field commander of heaven. In Islam, he is keeper of the natural world. Different creeds, same constancy. Michael, the just warrior who serves not pride, but the divine will. His story speaks not just across faiths, but into the bone of humanity. We all fear. We all hope. We all look up and wonder if anyone hears. Michael does not answer in words. He is the answer. What might we learn from one who never turned away? That strength is greatest when it defends, not conquers. That true might does not break, it shields. That the fight against darkness matters even when it stretches long. His story is not just cosmic, it is intimate. For believers, he stands close by. For those who see in him a symbol, he speaks truths we all crave. He broadens how we see heaven. He deepens how we understand our own longing. As night circles the sky and another day folds into stillness, Michael's vigil continues. Sword waiting, wings wide, eyes fixed beyond horizons. The battle plays on, hidden from our gaze, and the guardian remains at his post. His tale began before our clocks started ticking. It runs forward beyond our final breath, like stars still burning long after we close our eyes. Michael remains. He is the flame that outlives night, the courage that stays when fear deepens, the love that endures when all else fails. So we leave him where we found him, not at rest, but at watch, wings stretched in holy light, sword gleaming with undiminished resolve, eyes watching what we cannot see. Prince of angels, eternal sentinel, still dividing what is holy from what would harm, still standing between what was and what may yet become. And in the hush of night, as thought drifts and sleep beckons, perhaps you will feel unseen feathers settle above you. Perhaps, on the threshold of dreams, you'll glimpse the faintest shimmer of a sword that has never faltered. For Michael is there, now as always, watching over a world wrapped in shadow, but never beyond the reach of light.